And we are live for day 4. It is Thursday, right? Yeah. For day 4 of bLU Talks Amplify Your Message. The days of the weeks are kind of being messed up because we did the experts boot camp just last weekend. And so I'm like, is it Thursday? It could be Tuesday. I don't know. It feels like next week. So who knows? But today, Corey, my apologies. I saw the C. Lori is my co-host. I'm trying to say all the words at the same time. So Lori, we're going to be talking about different people who we know from all over the place, why they do what they do, why speaking, why writing, why podcasting, what are the ways that they share their message. But you're going to be helping me ask some questions in this fun and casual conversation. So to know where you're coming from with your questions, can you tell us just a little bit about you first?
Sure. I'm happy to be here today. I'm a bLU Talks member as well. So I have some children's books that I've written. I'm in 2 of the special edition in volume 1.
Looking for.
Yeah.
Which ones are you in?
I'm in volume 1 and volume 10 with Marie Diamond.
Where's your face? There's so many of us. Okay. Oh, there you are. Oh, there you are.
Here I am.
This is the first one. Yep.
Yeah.
I love when I get to interview and be with people who are on the books. It's like, yes, right? I know you and you and you.
I know. Yeah. Makes the world smaller. Nice place to be. So, yeah. And my background is in rehabilitation and addictions.
Oh, interesting. That should be fun. I can't wait to hear the questions that you have for us. So I'm going to bring our first guest up to stage, and then I will share what we were doing behind the scenes before we went live. So welcome to the stage, Melissa.
Hi, thanks for having me. So excited to be here. Excited to get these questions. Curious to hear what they're going to be.
You never know where we're going to go. So behind the scenes, I just decided today that I wanted to pull a card from my gratitude deck. I do have decks of cards. This one's just a gratitude. There's no pictures or anything on it. It's just quotes. And so I wanted to see what it was to guide our conversation. I love patterns, and there's always patterns. So let's see if there's synchronicities too. So here it is. It's the affirmation one that you chose, Melissa. It says, there are only 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is though everything is a miracle. Oh, that's from Albert Einstein. So it says, list 3 ways in which today will be miraculous. Do you know a miracle when you see one? So let's start with that question, Melissa. List 3 ways in which today could be miraculous.
Well, number 1 is being on this talk. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I've kind of had a lot of self-doubt about a lot of things that have happened over the last couple of years. Aww. So I'm trying to get back into who I was before a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And trying to get onto a bLU Talk was one of those things. So you inviting me randomly was just amazing. It was like, okay, pinch me. I'm finally going to where I want to go.
We can totally help you with that. Aww. And I was thinking, who do I know? Because I love to support local. And I just moved away from the city, so you're still local in my head. I'm like, who can I support that's local that I haven't heard from lately that I want to reconnect with? Because I have a couple slots left to fill. So I was like, oh, let's go to Instagram.
Well, I'm happy to be Insta friends with you and that I popped in your mind because I have been kind of in the backseat for a little while of my message, just kind of trying to decide where it's going to go.
I love that, because where I wanted to take the show today and tomorrow, and probably the next one, is to really highlight the fact that not everybody knows their message. You don't have to have it completely clear and concise. That's the goal, but you don't have to have that in order to start. So
no, and my message is a little funny because I have an end goal.
Yeah.
I just don't know the path to get to that end goal yet.
We'll share the end goal. Maybe we can help you, or maybe some of our listeners can.
Well, my end goal is to live in Huntsville, Alabama with my husband, be a public speaker, and help women go into careers that make them happy. I just want to make a big impact. In watching Michelle Obama last night, I know I got chills when she said you have to go after what you want because nobody's going to give it to you.
Oh,
I wanted to go, but I was busy. And I'm like, no.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And she is so real that, yeah, I just fell in love with her even more.
Aw.
Yeah.
And I love when we get comments. So it's like, yay, Melissa, Amy's rooting for you.
Thank you, Amy.
So can you tell us, actually, let's go back. Let's have that fun. The question I've been starting with, it's just a fun one. You can't plan for it, and that's my favorite part. So if you could have other people describe you in 3 words, what would you love those 3 words to be?
Caring, giving, and impactful.
No, okay, caring. I couldn't find my page. Giving and impactful.
Yeah.
So why those words?
Caring because I love helping people. I am a nurse and an entrepreneur, so I love helping people. Giving because I believe that what you give to the world will give back to you. So giving to others can help them, even if it's as small as telling them they have a beautiful shirt because you don't know what kind of day they had. That could just mean everything to them that day. And impactful because I want to make a difference in this world, specifically for women who suppress themselves to please others.
Very nice.
Okay, I'm thinking like all 3 of those. The caring part, how many people, you can even do your raise hands in the chats, it's all good. How many people got into the work that they did because they care about people and they want to help? Like we've all been there. And then the giving part, I love exactly what you said, the compliment to a random stranger. I love your shirt. I love your earrings. Your lipstick just really makes your eyes pop. Something simple that can really make somebody's day. I'm wondering if that's just an East Coast thing or if it's just a really nice person thing. I don't know.
No, I think it's a really nice person thing.
And you know what I hear in there is, we were talking about gratitude, and Melissa had stated what she, wants in her future. And the giving I hear is you're giving to yourself first so that you can abundantly give to others. So you're filling up your own cup.
Yeah. And for a long time, that was not the case. For a long time, I was given to other people's cups, which led to burnout, massive depression, massive, not knowing who I was, not being there for my children. So being a little selfish in the short term is actually going to help me help others in the long term.
Well, there is such a thing as positive selfishness.
I love
Maybe I'll have to learn that word.
There really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was taught that in NLP.
Yes.
Nice.
So Melissa, is there a story there where that kind of led you into the work that you do today?
Well, I was a nurse and I am still a practicing nurse. I left for a couple of years and grew my business, but I went through a traumatic event and it kind of led me to being super depressed, kind of like a robot going through my life. And I realized over the past few years of being a nurse, I missed a lot of my children's lives. And I wanted children forever. So the fact that I was walking through their life and not actually experiencing their life made me want to change who I was. And then I realized so many other women were drawn to me leaving nursing and starting my own business that I realized that it's a thing. Women don't go after careers they want because they're too busy holding down the fort for their family, putting their dreams aside for their loved one because their dreams come first. We just kind of put ourselves to the back seat. And I hope you can't hear my dog. She won't be quiet.
No.
So I just, after many, many women asking me, how did you do it? I decided that that's what I wanted to do. So even though I was doing social media for businesses, I had to make that pivot. It's been hard because I've had to heal myself before I could help others because you can't help others on an empty cup.
Exactly. Yeah. And I do have to say, Melissa, I'm feeling just a little bit called out because I stopped working at the end of March when I had my surgery. And then I haven't worked in my business until just this past weekend. There was
Wow.
a couple things here and there that I had to do, like amplify your message, which I love anyway. But my full-time job became making sure that everybody else's day was going the way it should. Because we were just in complete chaos for months. It's like,
sometimes
gotta get back in.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to take a step back, and that is actually working on your business. Taking a step back to heal yourself before you can move forward. So you needed that time, whether you realized it or not.
Oh, yeah. I know.
We have to thrive internally so we can live externally.
Yeah. And taking a step back is not a bad thing like people like to say it is.
No.
It sometimes is so needed.
I remember last summer, I spoke at Harvard through bLU Talks. I was so excited. Like, I had never left the country before, but that whole experience it just threw me so far out of my comfort zone or my familiar zone that when I got back, I was like peaceful confidence for a week, and then just crashed for about 5 or 6 weeks where basically all I could do was sleep.
Oh.
Yeah. But that was that step back that kind of gave me the space to process so that can be my new foundation to move forward. Yeah. We were talking about foundations yesterday, so I need to
you had a pivotal moment during that experience that you needed to reflect on to be able to bring it forth. So that was actually the healing in you, knowing that you needed to change your path.
So what was it that felt uncomfortable for you in that shift, going from I'm just going to be doing social media to I see these women who really need to look after themselves in that career change, and now you're focused on that?
Well, it's going to sound kind of funny, but I didn't think I was worthy enough. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think that I had the education or background to be able to do that. So it was getting over that self-doubt and pushing forward. Well, actually, I have built a successful business. I have done public speaking. I have done that transition. So it was pushing past my own self-doubt.
How did you do that?
A lot of journaling, a lot of meditating, a lot of just taking a step back to reflect on my experiences. So it sounds a little lazy, but Netflix and chilling actually helped a lot because I was able to shut down my brain instead of overthinking everything. And while I was watching a show, something would trigger and I'd be like, yep, that's why I have to do it.
Yeah. I listened to a lot of Abraham Hicks in the morning, just because that's how I like to start my day. And they talk about this idea of needing to slow down and stop that train of thought, like literally like a catapulting train. You need to slow it down and stop it in order for it to turn and go another direction.
Yeah.
And she does suggest like sleep and zoning out and that kind of stuff, just to get to that point of stopping those thoughts. Because then you have that space to be able to think about what you actually need instead of it being in the wrong direction.
Exactly. And that's so much what I needed. I needed the past year kind of off of my business and focusing back into nursing to realize why I was actually putting my message forward. Because stepping back into a world that I wasn't fond of definitely brought forth a lot of healing that I didn't realize I still needed.
Now, you did mention before we went live that you were part of a book. You don't actually have the physical book with you, but you're part of a book. Can you tell us how that happened?
So that happened by a friend reaching out to me and liking my message. And I decided that I wanted my message to go further. And I looked into it, and there was 364 other amazing women like Jan Arden. Like, who doesn't want to be in the same book as Jan Arden? And spread that message. So I found it to be a great opportunity to spread that message more. And it's a great thing that Pursuit 365 is actually doing. They are bringing forward stories on people who think that they're just going to work every day. So I like that they're trying to shine a light on people who don't necessarily have the light shined on them often. They're like,
Aww.
they're the heroes that nobody thinks of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jan Arden's television series is actually filming in Calgary all the time.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge fan of hers.
I really like how I feel that, when people are sharing their stories, such as you, Melissa, it really is about falling together. I think we all fall together and we don't fall apart. It's the things that we don't need that come away from us. And we attach ourselves to those things. And it's like, no, they needed to go. I'm falling together.
Yeah, and we have to give ourselves grace when we make mistakes. That is another thing that I've had to stop comparing myself to other people who started out at the same time as me. I've had to, when you make that bad mistake, turn that bad mistake into an actual lesson and learn from that lesson so you don't repeat it in the future. So you're absolutely correct.
I can't tell you the amount of local people who, like, we all graduated at the same time from SEED, the Center for Entrepreneurship Education Development. For those who don't know, it's like a local company that helps you learn entrepreneurship.
Oh, nice.
But through the unemployment program. So if you were unemployed, they're like, hey, you should start a business, add to the economy instead of taking from it at this point. But like, there was a lot of people who graduated and then you get to know that started businesses at the same time. And I'm watching them do their things. And that's exactly what was happening was, why isn't my business the same as their business?
Yeah.
Why isn't it picking up? I don't have the same type of business. I don't work the same way. It requires, different structures and systems to put in place first before it really becomes manageable.
And you had to learn different lessons and let go of different things before you could get to that spot.
And it's just like you said at the beginning too, Laura, I'm going to show you a bit of what's happening behind the scenes. You don't know what's happening behind other people's scenes, so to speak, right?
You don't know if that's just a mirage of their business that they're showing to the world, or if they've actually gotten there. So you can't judge what people show on social media. And I find that social media is the biggest deterrent because it's just a snapshot of somebody's life. You don't know if they have an eating disorder. Yes, they may be very successful, but maybe they have an eating disorder. Maybe they're, drinking their way to success. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we've had actually a lot of people on bLU Talks, Amplify Your Message, who've talked about that. They're like, oh, yeah, I used to be on the outside successful. I had all the things, I checked all the boxes, and I got there, and life was miserable. And so then they would find those ways to self-soothe, but it would only work temporarily. And then it would work less and less each time they did it. And now they're like, well, fine. And like, table flip. They did a 180. They're doing something else in their lives. And now they're leaning into it.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I know that if I didn't go through some of the lessons that I've gone through, and I've gone through a lot, I would not be on the path that I am tonight that actually led me to something last night, because I've never been to an after party. Never been. And I got to go to the Michelle Obama after party, and I'm in the room with some of my idols. And I'm like, if I didn't go through the path that I just went through, I wouldn't be here tonight. I'd be somewhere else. And it wouldn't be as impactful as being in the same room as them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Next time you're invited to an after party, you take me with you. Or if you go to like another Michelle Obama thing, you take me with you.
Sure. And if you go back to Boston, take me with you.
I am planning eventually to go back. I don't want to just stop at the one bLU Talks. Yeah. I want to do another one. And I do want to go back to Harvard. It was really nice. Because it was that moment, we've been talking about this, that moment of I'm scared. Courage has been one of those things this week, the pattern. Because I was saying something that on the surface went against what everybody else was saying.
Yeah.
And I was really afraid to say it in case somebody came back at me and was like, la, 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 la. But you have to have that confidence to stand behind your views and your beliefs.
You have to go completely outside of your comfort zone. Because if you
Really?
stay in your comfort zone and let others do the negative talk to you, you're not going to grow. Another line from Michelle. I know I'm talking about a lot about her, but it was a
It's
great
because it's
experience.
fresh.
But you can't grow from others that aren't willing to grow themselves. So you can't change people that aren't willing to change. So they're always going to have a negative outlook on what you're doing, even if you win a Nobel Prize.
Mm.
They
Mhm.
just aren't going to change their view of who you are to them. So you have to be willing to push that aside and push them out of your life.
I like that. And I also want to question that because I can't tell you the amount of friends and family when you start a business who are like, that's never going to work. It's not safe. You should get a real job. You need to pay the bill. And like all of those stories like that,
Yeah.
just because they don't have an understanding. And so do you cut friends and family out of life?
I've cut a couple people, but I don't tend to cut a lot of those because for those, it's just they need to see you grow and
Exactly.
get into who you are. So
Yeah.
those people you do keep. You just have to like push down their doubt of you and
Yeah.
push past and show them, yes, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because if we all listen to our families, none of us would be here.
We'd all be in a box in a safe little thing with bubble wrap around us. Our parents
Yeah.
never would have let us outside.
But it's those negative people that are constantly trashing you that you have to push out of your life.
Yeah.
I've heard of people pushing some family aside for a few years and then coming back. They just needed it to eliminate the negativity and then they pull them back. And they're in a stronger spot to handle the negativity. Because, you can't always please everybody.
So then let's come back to the different ways that you like to share your message. Can you actually give us like a one sentence core of what you really need people to take away from what you're sharing in this conversation today?
Don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone and go after a dream that you want. Even if it seems impossible, there is a way to actually achieve it at some point.
And it usually starts with people.
Yeah.
People like you, people like Blue Talks, like community has been one of those things that has helped me through all the darkness, whether it is the Halifax local crew or whether it's the Blue Talks community. I keep defaulting to that because every time I stumble, I know I can reach out to the locals.
Right.
Yeah.
I can reach out to Blue Talks and
You need a
somebody will
support
be
group.
there. So
you
nice.
absolutely need support. Even if it's not family.
Even if it's not, and you know what? It's so rare that it's family. And it's so rare that it's like friends who aren't entrepreneurs that really get us. So Melissa, I love this message. What are your favorite ways to share that message?
I love my podcast. It was on hiatus for a year and it's revamped. It's coming out next Monday. It's called Raise the Anchor. I absolutely love it. I love speaking on social media. I love writing a blog, although my website's down, so don't go there right now. It's being revamped. And I love networking and connecting one-to-one. I love in person. I absolutely love in person.
Oh no. Okay, so I went to listen notes. We've been doing this week with some of our guests because you don't have any new episodes at the moment. It won't give me a percentage.
Oh no.
Of where you rank. But as soon as you do, I would love to see where you are because the conversation there is that so few people will go past about 10 episodes.
Oh yeah, I think I have like 24 episodes there now. Yeah.
And then so few people, even fewer people will continue for like 3 months or longer.
No, I have an exciting new, I don't want to say season because I'm getting away from season 1, season 2. It's going to be a bi-weekly and it's going to continue all year long. It's bi-weekly because I edit my own podcast for now. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and that's one thing I can't let go of yet. So it will be bi-weekly starting next Monday. and I have a list of guests. In the past, it's been a mix of men and women. Going forward, it's going to be slightly more women, and that's just because some of the missions that I'm working on towards getting towards my goal in the future.
To work specifically with women?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have nothing against men. It's just I have a message that resonates more with women, and we work through a lot of emotions that men aren't always comfortable working through. We ask the deep questions. We do cry in the middle of sessions. So we don't want any judgment there. But we are building a community. It's going to be called the Strategic Entrepreneur. And that is for both men and women. And I do have a male coach. I can't release his name yet. We're just in the talks of finalizing that. And he will be for the men. So it is going to be a conjoined kind of community where men and women can feel comfortable. If you have a certain thing you want to break through and you don't want the judgment, you can go into either side, because we don't want that male, female against each other. We want that male, female energy that we feel, because we know some people lean more towards different energies, and we want you to feel safe and open.
Wow, that's beautiful.
When I say I'm working mostly with women, it's not to say that men can't come in if they resonate more with a female energy. So I wanted to clarify that, because I know there's so many ways people could take when I said men and women. I don't want that. It's more the female male energy, because we all resonate with one. We're all dominant more in one.
I love that you worded it that way, because I actually really enjoy working with men, because they don't generally have that space to talk about their emotions. And so every time I've had a one-on-one with a man, about half an hour, right? I've had one that hasn't cried. One.
That's awesome.
And like the feedback that comes back is, I've never had the space to be able to be myself and have somebody not judge me for it. It's like, oh, so that's what you're lacking and needing. Like, okay.
You need that comfort. You need that comfort.
It's just,
and I can tell you, I know a few women that would prefer not to be in an all-female group, because they don't resonate with that energy. And they can't open up because they feel like they have to be an emotional little girl in that group, when they really just want to like swear and I don't want to say what they would do, punch a wall, but they don't resonate with the female energy, and they would feel more comfortable.
You know what it is? I myself am very much the nurturing, tend to be more female energy person. And so when I need support, I want the complete opposite. So most of my friends are actually guys, because I want people to just tell me how it is. I want them to not have any thoughts that they're keeping from me. It's just like, but because that's what I need in the moment.
No, that's awesome. I unfortunately need the other. Because of my nursing job, it's a high stress, and I have to hold it together a lot. There are a lot of times I want to cry. There are a lot of times I want to scream, but you can't. So I need a safe space to go home and shed, because we all need to release those emotions, or else we hold on to those emotions, and those emotions manifest into other things like drinking or doing bad habits. So I can tell you, I used to hold my nursing in a lot, and my husband could tell me what unit I worked on when I worked at a hospital, because I would either come home and sleep, I would either come home and drink, I would either come home and drink and lock myself in the bedroom, or I would come and be a peaceful wife. So he could tell the kind of stress I was going under. And I didn't like that I was that predictable, that I would have a glass of wine on the counter when I got home, because 9 out of 10 times I probably would drink it.
Wow. See, now I want to know which one you worked when you came home and you were a nice wife.
A nice wife. That was usually the orthopedic floor, so recovery. So we were just working on getting their joints moving again. So it was like a nice, light, easy day where you just chat and walk with people.
Aww.
Yeah.
I always love those. Yeah.
Yeah, the ER was always the drink and lock yourself in the room.
Yeah. I kind of guessed that one.
Yeah.
I was in the emergency room on Friday night in the middle of the boot camp, but it wasn't quite an emergency. It's just things were closed and I had shingles. So, of course, the earlier you address it, the easier it's going to be. So I went and I'm like away from everybody, but it was so full. So we were there all night. And you just watch the nurses and doctors come in and you're just like, I want to give them all hugs, but I can't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sending love to you on those days when you are there.
Yeah.
So let's go back to more of like how you're wanting to share your message. What would be crazy cool for you to do to share your message? We're not talking logic. I'm thinking like Genie snaps the fingers and this happens for you.
To be on the stage at Harvard talking.
Really?
Oh, nice.
To be leading groups that other people want to be a part of. Yeah. Those are my big goals.
We have more stages coming up, right?
No, I didn't.
Like we just did the boot camp. So I think like of course they did a pitch, but Corey's also from the East Coast. So just the way that we are, we're like, do you want it? It's there. If you're not, we'll still be here. It's all good. We're still going to root for you. Yay, you.
Right. Yeah.
So there are opportunities if you want. Like I can talk to you about them afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this whole community hang out. You can ask other people how Harvard was. I think next week is UCLA.
Nice.
Or no, Oxford?
Oxford, I think.
Oxford, yeah. Somewhere over like UK. They just started doing UK stuff. Yeah. And then there's new universities and potentially, what was the one? Carnegie Hall?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I really want to do that one.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I've always pictured myself in a setting like that. It's like, oh my God. And then they have your book on Times Square, like all of these cool things going on right now.
I honestly never pictured myself on a public stage because I have always been scared of that. But after speaking at a few conferences, I kind of like the feeling. I kind of like getting up there and chatting.
Well, think of it this way, Melissa. You're on a public stage when you're doing your nursing career.
Yep. Oh, yes.
And you're talking with compassion, you're leading with compassion, you're feeling those emotions. That's your public stage. So you already have it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just have to go after it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the best part was when you go with somebody like Blue Talks, it's not just you one-off going somewhere. It's you and fellow community members who are doing the same thing you are, who are supporting each other, and as well as their guests, so that you know that their guests are there to support as well. Yeah. So it's like I get to teach and I get to share my message, but I'm also supported and loved all at the same time. I had this song playing in my head when I was there. It was by Jess Glynn. What was it called? I can't remember at the moment, but basically the one or two lines that was stuck in my head was along the lines of like, you can do it. Just keep going. You're supported. I
know. And what was that feeling before you got on the stage for the first time?
I love being on the stage, but I didn't even have my talk like outlined or my PowerPoint or anything until the night before.
Oh, wow.
I know. I'm one of those. But I just knew that I have always been the one to question, and I've always gotten in trouble for it. So now this is my space on a stage that matters so much to people that people won't just shoo me off for somebody who's just talking. Like they will actually pay attention beyond the statement that questions their beliefs and pay attention to the rest.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I knew that the people there were there to support me and understood me as well. And of course, Corey has been one of the only people in my life who has supported me from basically day one.
Yeah, I've only met him once at a
Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry. My dog was deciding to take this moment to dig into the garbage that she's never done. So
Yeah.
I had to address that. Yeah, not professional. We're definitely live. I met him at a public speaking thing with my old boss. We were barely, I was barely out of nursing, and she was interested in getting to public speaking. I actually think she's been a part of Blue Talks before. Her name is Jenna, Jenna Ross.
Oh, that name sounds familiar. Is she in book 1?
I think she is in book 1.
Because I remember seeing her name.
And she spoke at Harvard.
Oh, did she?
Recently,
Okay.
I think over the last summer. But it was just going there and listening to him and just feeling that energy. I'm like, yeah, this is something I want to do one day. I'm not quite ready. I'm not quite there, but definitely someday. And
Then
he
I'm
was
definitely
so sweet.
Oh yeah, then I'm definitely inviting you to our free networking. You don't have to be like a paid member or anything of Blue Talks. You can just be there.
Yeah,
Be
it's
a part of
great.
the community. Yeah. So
Oh, I
again,
love
for
that.
anybody listening, if you want to network with us, just let me know. Reach out to me. I'll give you the link. Love to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. I always thought it had to be a paid membership and there was dedicated time. So it's good to learn these
Yeah.
things.
And the thing about this show is if you know me and you're on last minute, you never know if you have an interview. It's like, I get that life happens. Sometimes we double book. Sometimes an emergency happens. And so while I can talk to myself for 45 minutes or my co-host, I would love to have somebody else come in. So sometimes I am on my phone going, hey, what are you doing in 15 minutes? Do you want to be
Well,
interviewed?
I am usually that girl. I don't need a lot of prep. If I do bigger talks, I like to have a lot of prep. But when I have just on the fly, I've been a part of something called Indie Podcasts United. I've done a few conferences with them.
Yeah.
And during those conferences, it'll be like, we had a guest drop out. Can you just come on?
Exactly.
They're usually trivia shows, and I know nothing. And I have no problem going on and being that silly person that knows nothing. I recently learned I don't know a lot about Halloween movies.
Give me Hocus Pocus. And maybe that's about it. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. See?
The
only one.
Wait, wasn't there an Ernest movie?
There was
Halloween?
Ernest. They were talking about like the Freddy Krueger movies, the Jason
Yes.
movies. And I'm like, I don't know the characters of these ones.
No.
But it's fine. It's fine to just be comfortable getting in front of people and not knowing what the outcome's going to be.
Exactly. That's the skill right there, is just being able to say, this is me. I know some things and I don't know some things. And I want to do some things and I don't want to do other things. So
Yeah.
the other thing I like to highlight with this show is that not everybody will excel at or wants to be a speaker. Maybe they're a writer. Maybe they're a blogger. I don't know. Maybe they're more of a podcast person. Maybe they actually like to share their message through art, which is something that we mentioned yesterday. Maybe they write a song. Maybe they, I don't know, children's books, which is coming up next.
Nice.
You never know. So then, Melissa, we have about 5-6 minutes left. So I just want to make sure that we know where to find you, and then we'll continue with the conversation.
Well, the easiest place to converse with me is oddly Instagram, because my emails and my Facebook, I'm inundated with messages all the time.
Yeah.
So Melissa M. Burbridge is the best Instagram. I also have Alize Creative Solutions on Instagram.
Yes.
And I Raise the Anchors on Instagram. And please follow Raise the Anchor on Instagram, because I didn't start that social early enough. So it's a little less, and I really want this podcast to get out there because there are a lot of inspirational people that I interview. One of my favorite interviews was a recent liver transplant person. She had just recently had a liver transplant, and that story was so emotional on the impact of receiving a new liver. I've had some pretty inspirational people. There was a TV star. She was a reality TV star over in Australia. and she was a pretty interesting interview. I've interviewed somebody who interviews a lot of famous people. So it's really a really cool kind of outlet I get to do. And coming up is going to be a lot of inspirational women from the East Coast that have impacted my story as to where I am now. So I really love that. There will be a website, Alizé Creative Solutions. It's just kind of in the works, but usually Instagram, oddly, is my main thing that's not inundated with a lot of messages.
Good. Scritch the puppy.
She's currently.
I really love what you're doing, Melissa. And when you talk about it, your energy just shines. Yeah.
Good. I love hearing that because the last year was a learning kind of healing year after a few lessons. So I kind of lost that confidence for a little bit. So I'm happy to hear people say that they can start to see it back again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be up in the city next Friday if you want to hang out.
Just message me. I had to see what I have.
I was like, I'm not going to be up there a whole lot anymore. So I'm like, oh, when I am, I'm just going to reach out to more local people.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you so many questions, but we only have a few minutes left. What was one of the things, since you said you have a podcast and you're starting it back up again?
Yeah.
What was one of the things about having or starting a podcast that was difficult for you that you had to figure out something to get around it, to actually do it and share it and promote it?
Honestly, it was trying to find the time to record and edit. Finding guests wasn't too hard in the beginning. And I get messages all the time for people wanting to be on the podcast, but it was really like making sure that I was organized enough that it wasn't just this little indie podcast, that it was a little more professional. It was a little more constructive because a lot of people that I was wanting to interview were bigwig people. Mm-hmm. They had like this professional life. They had this professional change. And I didn't want to be that little quiet girl. So I wanted to make sure that the show quality was up to par for the guests that was coming on.
Oh, nice. Now, you did mention that you had a lot of people pitching you to be on your podcast. We did podcast pitching this past boot camp as well as the one before that. What is something that you hate seeing in a podcast pitch?
Somebody who's clearly never listened or actually taken the time to look at what the podcast is. So I've gotten a lot of people who are like, just like the CEO of this company wanting to come on the podcast. And I'm like, you've always worked in the same job. Did you not see where it's a pivotal moment? Like, where is your pivotal moment? And they're like, well, he doesn't have one. He just worked. I'm like, there has to be a pivotal moment. So why did you even message the podcast? There's no pivotal.
Yeah. Maybe you'll have Michelle Obama on.
Maybe that would be amazing.
And she can come to your after party.
Yeah, that would probably be, I'd probably fall over if that happened.
Aw, you'd be fine. Yeah. So then let's ask the opposite. What is something that you love seeing in a podcast pitch that immediately makes you go, oh, I need to reach out to this person?
I love hearing people's different stories. So I love people who have taken the time to learn what the podcast is about and who pitch me in a way of, this has been my life-changing moment. Is this something that you would love to hear more about? Is this something that actually matches your podcast? So they have that little bit of self-doubt in themselves that they're not good enough to be on the podcast. And I know that seems a little, that makes my heart melt because it makes me realize that my podcast is making a little bit of a difference.
That's kind of cute though.
Yeah, it means that they're fangirling me and I love it.
I just experienced that a couple days ago. Somebody was like, oh, I love watching you on this podcast. I was like, I have a fan. Cool. Yeah.
You got to celebrate them.
And as you talk, Melissa, your eye movements are all the eye movements of being in your future.
Awesome. I love
And when
hearing
you
that.
talk about being in your future, your energy lights up and there's a really good connection. You're like, I really feel you're really grounded from when your eye movements go for you being in the past. You're in front of that past now. And you're really owning your powers. So I really notice that. So
Thank
you're
you. I'm
well
going to
on
try
the
not
way.
to cry.
Okay, you can cry afterwards.
Yes, afterwards.
Actually,
Thank
I
you
cry
so
so many
much.
times on here. It's good. I just want to say thank you so much, Melissa, for doing this last minute, for just constantly working on yourself so that you can share messages like this. And especially because you're one of those people that want to give opportunities to other people. And that's actually so rare. So I really appreciate that as well.
It
Thank
was
you
so
so much.
nice to meet you. I can't wait to see you in a Blue Talks breakout room.
I know.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely to meet you too, Lori.
Thanks.
I'll send you the info after. Okay. Bye, Melissa.
Bye.
Bye.
So our next guest has been chilling backstage. I was gonna say behind the scenes. It's all good. It's all good. She's hanging out. Jan, are you ready to come up on stage? Just give me a thumbs up. We can't hear you when you're backstage. Welcome to the stage. Oh my God, did you knit a dragon?
I crocheted it. This
Oh,
is
Wow.
Yes.
this is Saren, my dragon in my book.
What was the name again?
Saren, Seren.
Saren. Oh,
So
cool.
well, but you'll have to read the book to find out what it means.
That's a good tease.
Oh, I love it. Oh, you're like, okay, product placement, come on.
Product placement. Product placement. There you go.
Tiffy's new friend.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so obviously you have a children's book.
Yes.
So tell us about this children's book.
A lonely dragon goes out searching for friendship. And she not only gets that, but she gets acceptance from Tippy, who is Tippy. Hey, can you?
Ooh.
There's Tippy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, she's my constant companion, and her owner, Lana, and they take amazing flights. It's a series that starts with just a flight through a couple states, up through Canada, Nova Scotia,
Yes.
Greenland, Norway, and then comes back across the ocean. And the
Wow.
pictures, well, that's the one from the cover. Hang on. The pictures are amazing.
Aw.
So
Did you illustrate it as well?
no, I didn't. My publisher, Austin Macaulay, is absolutely brilliant, and their artists are amazing. I would never have been able to do as good a job as they did.
Aw.
They are amazing.
So why did you write the children's book? Oh,
Oh no.
That's all.
there you are.
It goes back to years ago. In the end of July, I had a stroke. My life ended literally, but in the ensuing years, I found out it ended for a reason. It was a challenge to me to stop living for everybody else's dreams and finally start living my own. But I had to get through a heck of a lot to get here. I couldn't speak. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. Well, that's speak. I couldn't read, write, walk. I was pretty much almost a vegetable.
Aw.
After a year, I was told not to expect much because nothing else will change. And at that point, I still couldn't speak well. And I said, no, watch me. And I went back to work as a substitute teacher. And those kids were amazing. They believed in me and they bugged me and they needled me and they made me talk and they wrote the activities for the day on the board for me. They would
Oh.
assignments out so I could follow along. So I thought, well, you know what? They're pushing so hard. I'm going to push hard. And I started reading children's books, picture books with words at first, because my association was off. If I saw a card that had a banana, I'd say tree. I'd know it was a banana, and I want to say banana, but it didn't come out that way.
Oh.
Yeah. So this has been quite a journey, and I've been talking to people all over about it and not to give up. That's the biggest thing. And I ended up reading Christopher Paolini's Brissinger, which means fire, which is a huge book in the collection from Ergon. You remember the movie?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, dear. What am I going to do with you? And then COVID hit and I got laid off.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter decided that I should go back to college. Well, I did, and I got my master's degree in creative writing and poetry. And during the last 2 semesters, I started writing this book, and I submitted it, and it was accepted, and, well, now it's out.
Wow.
So there is nothing that you can't do if you continue to strive for not perfection. You'll never be perfect, but your humanity. I love my humanity.
I love
We
that.
are perfect in our imperfectness.
Yes. And it was very embarrassing to go out at first with a cane when I could walk. I wouldn't go and use those carts that you can ride on in the store.
Yeah.
Offer them to me and I'd say, nope, I can walk. It was kind of, I still walk oddly, but it's okay. I'm walking. And
Exactly.
And the pain was unbelievable. So I became addicted to painkillers until my doctor, we started trying different medications until he found one that worked for me. And I got off of that. I was taking roughly 6 Aleve and 8 Tylenol a day.
Ooh,
Wow.
that's a lot.
Yeah, but I had a level 8, 9 pain. And
Exactly.
so it was to function until that point. And depression hits you because you try to do something that was normal for you to do before, and it takes you literally weeks to figure some things out. Like my crocheting. That took me 2 months of carrying out everything I tried to do until I finally made a hat. So it has been quite a journey, but it's so important for people to realize the doctors don't know much about the brain. Neuroplasticity, if you exercise it like any muscle, will create new pathways.
Yes.
And I'm living proof of it. But you can tell I still have aphasia, but not too bad.
See, I didn't even notice until you tried to correct yourself earlier. It's like, I've talked to you a few times and I never noticed that.
You're just such an inspiration. I worked a lot within the community of people with aphasia. You have such a beautiful story. So I'm so glad that you are, standing in your power and telling people this is who I am. And it's been a gift. It's been a challenge, but it's been a gift. So I just,
Hi, Tippy. Yeah, we were joking behind the scenes. Tippy's like, I see a camera. I'm the cute one. Yeah.
Yep, she is.
Aw. So was that the reason that you wrote the book, is that message of, don't give up. You can do things.
Yes.
Possible. Yeah.
Very much so. And I'm going to be writing I've written a book about my experiences in a diary form. So I'm trying to make it into some kind of book that people can enjoy reading and understand what I went through. But I am also going to create a children's book with Tippy and actually me that go around to schools and talk to the kids, read the book, and then talk to them about being handicapped.
Oh.
Nice.
And I want to get on a Blue Talk. Yeah.
Yay! More Blue Talks.
Well.
People. I think you're in the right place.
Oh,
I was like, we could check. I should start writing these names down to follow up afterwards.
Right? Yeah.
well, I did a pitch this last. Well, I've done 2 pitches for you guys now on the Burge.
Yes. Yeah.
Corey said last time that he'd love to have me, and time went on. And this time he said, we have to make sure to get you into something.
Okay. So I will definitely reach out to you afterwards. And I have to share this. This was really cute. Jen is amazing inside and out. I've known her for over 30 years. She's a fighter and so amazingly kind. I don't know who that Facebook user is, but they certainly love you, Jan.
Aw, thank you very much.
Just so people know, StreamYard, you have to go in and give StreamYard permission to see your name. Otherwise, we just see Facebook user. So.
They'll let me know.
Yeah, of course they will. If they think you're amazing, they will definitely let you know.
You know, it's funny, but I've known Jeff for 30 years from college, and I think it's him that said that.
Oh, and what if it's not him?
Well, I'll thank whoever it was.
Whoever it was. So Jen, I want to continue with the playfulness because I have not asked you this question yet since it was just us coaching before. If you could have other people to describe you in 3 words, what might those 3 words be?
Courageous. They all say that I am courageous in what I do and that I'm their inspiration. Because I, like our guest before me, am constantly walking in a store and I see someone and I tell them, I love your hair or I love your shirt. I don't know who they are, but I get a smile. And that's always important to me. And loving. Comes in, feels well loved, very loved. Because, well, being empathetic, you realize that is something people are searching for. So when you give it, they open up and it's amazing. The stories I've heard.
Yeah, we were having the conversation, I think, yesterday about unconditional love and what that looks like. Do you have any moments in your life where you feel that unconditional love?
Sorry, I was just chuckling because as soon as you said unconditional love, Tippy popped up.
Of course you love.
It's just at the right timing.
Yes, I have from all my dogs, but my kids. I have unconditional love from both of my kids.
Aww.
And I'm going to be a grandparent. My daughter is having a boy at the beginning of January.
Oh, that's so cute. And then they're going to be 3 weeks late like I was and have their birthday on my birthday, right?
Well, all right, there you go.
I don't mind sharing.
I hope not, because I don't think she'd be very happy.
Yeah.
She's actually a chemistry lab instructor in Middlebury, Vermont, in the college.
Oh, nice. Is this your first grandkid?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's extra special for you. Are you going to put them into another book?
Of course. When
Of course.
I'm in Vermont and check it out, they're going to be riding with us.
Oh,
My book is coming out soon. That's in California. And my friend Christopher, who I've known for 20 years, is going to join us on our journey and take us around California.
Ooh, that would be a nice book.
Yeah. It's in production. It should come out probably in 6 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then are you keeping to the children's books to share your message? Well, actually, you mentioned wanting to be on a stage. I should put a star next to your name.
I want to become a professional motivational speaker. I already am an international motivational speaker, thanks to Debbie Bryan.
Yay, Debbie. Yeah.
Eventually, I'd like to be able to fly or anywhere I want to go because I'm being paid. And I want to spread this news or this message because it really is important.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Norbert says congratulations. Gotta celebrate the babies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you said the 3 words were courageous, loving, but I didn't get a 3rd word.
Empathetic.
Oh, empathetic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, and Norbert's son, the one who is just on, is going to be in our 3rd book when we go to Washington.
Oh, I love the travel. I love that that's a part of it.
We're going to go to different countries as well, starting in Scotland, of course.
Yeah. So you're writing lots of children's books. You're
Yes.
wanting to be on stages more,
Yes.
and you're here on this podcast. Do you like podcasting? Do you like speaking, or do you prefer writing?
Hmm.
I know, hard question.
I love speaking. I always have. Being a substitute teacher in front of a bunch of high school kids, you have to be comfortable. So I've been speaking for, 30 years now.
Oh.
But I love writing as well because that's something you can hold in your hand and see and enjoy and even create more pictures in your mind. It's not something that you're just sitting back watching TV with a blank mind because it gives you everything.
Yeah.
A book is something that takes you places.
Yeah.
Was there ever?
I'm curious, Jan, do you feel that your children's books also kind of came about as a healing of your inner child through your journey of healing? Do you feel that connection kind of, that it's like that little person is still alive, and so if I write to that little person, it'll help me grow even more?
Yes, I actually needed that because I had a very difficult childhood. I'll leave it at that. So I never experienced childhood. So through my kids, I experienced it again. Amazing to see the world through their eyes. And now creating this, I can picture in my mind children loving the pages. And in the back, there's a map where they can draw a line and follow Saren's journey and see where these countries are and see where the states are. So it's not just throwing out names of countries, it's actually showing them where they are in the world compared to where we start in New Hampshire.
Oh, are you in New Hampshire right now?
No, I'm not, but that's where I went to college.
Oh, okay.
My daughter at that point was in New Hampshire, so I thought, well, I'll just write a book from that state because it's a beautiful state. It really is.
Yeah, I had an old coworker. He was from New Hampshire, and he used to always talk about how much he loved it there. Yeah. And I love that you have a map in the back. I learned geography and French. So I'm like, I don't know what they are in English. Don't ask me where places are. Ooh, what's that? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
So it's an interactive book as well. It's kind of fun, I think. Well, of course, I wrote it, but
I'm a little biased.
yeah.
Was there ever a time where you didn't want to write or didn't want to be on a stage?
I never thought of being on a stage, to be honest with you, until Corey's boot camp, the first one I went to. But writing, I have always written poetry. It was a way I could get out these feelings that were so jumbled in my mind because of what I was going through in my childhood and in my teens. So it was a way to express myself, and it's something I've always done. But most of it is nature poetry because I run to nature, run to the woods, run to the mountains, and just go hiking just to ground myself and get who I was instead of this horrible child that I had been adopted, but I wasn't her real child. It was alcohol speaking, but there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
My graduation card, congratulations, we didn't think you'd make it.
Oh, wow.
I've been my real mom, though. She is a cork. She is funny. She's definitely a 60s hippie, still going to be and always will be. She's 80 years old.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you had a chance to meet your real mom then?
Yes.
Oh, Nice.
We talk every Monday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
My adopted mother committed suicide in 2000.
Hmm.
It was so sad because she was brilliant and she was so artistic, but alcohol got a hold of her, and
Yep.
so
Yeah, we've talked about addictions on here a few times before, and just how easily it can slip into happening and be a regular thing. And then you just don't even notice at first. And then all of a sudden you have this life that's going a direction you don't want it to go, but you've dug yourself so far in that it's really hard to get back out.
the hard part for me was realizing that not everybody's life was like my life. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to act, how to treat people other than the way my mother treated me. And then I found a boyfriend who had a family that was amazing. And by
Aw.
him, I changed myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still technically with my first boyfriend.
Oh,
Yeah, this one started in 99.
wow. My partner, I am divorced after 17 years of marriage. And then I got in with an amazing man that was a teacher. And we had a 15-year relationship. But he decided, I had this happen twice, that a younger lady was more of what he wanted because I couldn't farm anymore. We had a wonderful farm going vegetables and baking. But when it stopped his dream.
Oh.
She's fulfilling his dreams. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. We're still friends, but
Yeah. It's understanding that we're not always compatible with each other continuously moving forward, and wanting to send that love no matter where they go, because it's like, I love you so much. I know that this isn't working, but I love you enough to let go. And we talked about that
Right.
yesterday.
Yeah.
It's powerful to be able to do that. So congratulations.
it's a good thing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
especially it sounds like for you, Jen, you really need to own your depth. And I think for some people it's hard to follow that, right? You know, you're owning your depth and your experiences and you just want to grow forward.
Exactly. And by doing
I
the
agree.
children's book, I'm taken more seriously, so to speak, for my recovery because I have something concrete to show people that, yes, I did this. I went from not reading to writing children's books.
And that's so important. Like, I work in addictions, and I keep telling my students that addictions is more than just recovery from the substance. It's recovering from your life and who you were and, you know, who you want to be. So I just feel so blessed to have met you here this morning.
Thank you. And yes, I own everything. It is who I am. And before the stroke, I hid myself from myself by being what everybody else needed me to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So this stroke has been a blessing that God, he gave me 3 heart attacks and I didn't listen in 24 hours. And 2 weeks later, I was back working full time. But this stroke finally stopped me, and it made me look inside as to who I, where I wanted to be. And I decided I wanted my humanity back. I wanted off of physical, what is it you called it?
Physical therapy?
No, that when you're on disability,
Oh.
it covers so much. And I don't like being
Yeah.
dependent on others for my money. I want to earn it myself. I want to work. And the best thing I can do right now is share my message.
Mm-hmm.
I
Because
have
then your
questions.
healing continues and so does everybody else's. So it just gets magnified for you.
So what is your dream moving forward? Of course, there's going to be more books, but Like crazy cool dream, genie snap through your fingers. What would be cool to happen?
Go to Australia and New Zealand and speak and travel and walk on the black sand beaches.
Mm.
And dream.
And take the Lord of the Rings tour, right?
You betcha.
Of course. So then anybody who can help her go to New Zealand,
Yeah.
Australia, there you go. Make a connection. I love being able to do that. Why would you want to go there? What is there that's drawing you?
The beauty, the nature. New Zealand is amazing. Daughter there when she was 16 she was a United States student ambassador.
Oh.
And she went to New Zealand and Australia, and the stories she brought back were amazing. And it made me want to go there. I love Scotland. I would like to eventually live there. But New Zealand might steal my heart.
And then you'll live there forever and you'll write 20 more children's books so that you have those series where all the parents go, oh, we're just going to buy this cute little book for my child. And then before you know it, you spent $400 or $500 on the whole series that is only currently out, not knowing that there's probably 5 more coming. That was totally true. Like, I can't tell you the amount of money we've spent on books for my daughter when she was growing up.
Mm-hmm. I have books from when I was a child that are to my daughter for her.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you remember the Let's Talk About books?
Yes.
Yes, we have probably 20, 25 of those from my husband when he was little. And my daughter used to bring them to me all the time. She'd be like, Mom, can you read me this one today? And it would be like, let's talk about not listening. And you're like, okay then. He wants me to read that to her. I'm like, does she want to be in trouble? Does she think she's in trouble? I don't really know what's going on, but I kind of like that she wants to have these conversations.
And kids come up with the craziest things.
Mm-hmm. One of her other favorites for a while was, why did I just forget the name? Phoebe and her unicorn. She grew up with Phoebe and her unicorn. Yeah. Because they're crazy. They go on adventures. It's like comic book style. But then the comic book jokes are all strung together like a story. And so it was really cool that you could follow along or you could just laugh for a page or two. Yeah.
When teaching special education, I had a group of boys that were struggling with reading. And I thought back to my first husband, who was a veterinarian, but he had had problems reading as well. But then he started getting comic books.
Yes.
So in the comic books, and those boys were having a blast, and their reading, it came along, and it was awesome. I was just an interim teacher, but still I had them for 4 months.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of fun.
Oh, I grew up on comic books. Like the Archie comics, that was
Archie,
90% of what I read. And then, of course, there's Wonder Woman, there's Spider-Man, there was Batman, like all the comics that you got for free. But then from there, it was Nancy Drew books.
Oh,
and I kind of stopped at the Nancy, not the new Nancy Drew, like the old hardcover Nancy
I
Drew.
used to have those old hardcover Nancy Drews.
I still do.
I have one left. I don't know where they all went, but
oh no,
I'll get them. Oh no! Oh, I have to get the Hardy Boys.
Ooh. You never read the Hardy Boys?
Oh, the Hardy Boys are just as good as Nancy.
Oh, I did hear that. Yeah, but because Nancy had red hair in some of them, I was like, I'm a redhead. It was so hard to find yourself in things when you're younger. I mean, some people do, some people don't. I was having a hard time finding myself in any sort of media because the red hair, you constantly picked on for it. And so you're like, why aren't there other people like me? And then you find, what was her name? Oh, from Archie Comics. I just lost her name. Cheryl Blossom. There we go.
Okay.
I didn't quite connect with the character, but I was like, she's got red hair.
Well, now that had the little red-haired girl that Charlie Brown was
Yeah,
in.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
But I love that your book is going different places so that more people can connect to the story. Not necessarily the characters, but sometimes it's the setting that pulls people in.
Yes.
And Lori just messaged. I'm not sure if now's the time she needed to leave.
My California book, we're not going to places that most people go. We went to the Glass Beach, which
The Glass Beach?
the Glass Beach, there is one in California. It's amazing. There used to be a place until the early 60s where people would go and throw glass and things and garbage into the ocean. And over time, the glass became these beautiful stones like.
Glass.
Yeah. And then we go to see the redwoods. Of course, everybody has to go see that. But then we go up to a ski slope and go dragon sledding.
Dragon sledding?
Yeah, Sharon loves snow and she loves to slide down like the tubing, but you're on a dragon.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And then we fly around and fly back. My friend lives in Hollywood. So that's where we're stationed during our visit.
Have you ever thought about the dragon boat races?
The what?
You've never heard of the dragon boat races?
No.
Okay, so during the summer, you will have to come to Nova Scotia and go to
Okay.
Halifax, and they have boats that have dragons on them. And then there are teams of people who have to row these boats together. Sometimes it's a sports team, sometimes it's a business, like just all types of groups of people can just sign up to be on this boat. And then you train a little bit together, and then you have races with these dragon boats.
I'll have to put that into a book.
Yeah.
Send me a note and remind me.
Okay. Dragon boat races. Boat. Because my husband did it a few times with his judo group that he was a part of. So you get, of course, the little people, you get the big people, just a mix of everyone because it's fun.
Yeah. But I'm serious. We're going to be going up into the different provinces in Canada.
Yay.
So a good time to go with Saren and Tip and watch the dragon races.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Put that in the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Cool.
then Saren gets to see some more of where he comes from and different dragons like him, even if it's in boat form.
He's a she.
Oh, he's a she?
Yeah. Saren.
Oh,
I'll drop it real quick if anybody's listening. Saren means star in Welsh.
Oh, it's Welsh because you said you wanted to be in Scotland. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I just named my. Here, hold on. I'm just gonna. my lighting is gonna go all weird, but I gotta show you. It's so cute. My mother-in-law made this planter that's a sloth. I love sloths.
That's beautiful.
And I named him Sorrow.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember what it means. It's like the good one, or it's something along the lines of something that I wanted to feel when I look at him.
Got you.
Yeah. The other one was the storyteller, which was Sago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is Sorrow.
And you are a storyteller.
I know, which is why I was like, should I name him that or should I name him something else? But I like that we're naming our things in our spaces. One of my coworkers is a sloth teddy bear. I named him Marnin.
Aw.
Yeah, which means like friend or something. I wish I could remember these things. You don't need a stroke to have a horrible memory. Oh my God. I'm just going to double check how much time we have left. We have about 10 minutes left. So I want to make sure that people know where to find you, and then we will continue the conversation. So where do we find you, and what is your favorite way of communicating? Don't call your dragon Norbert.
Here to see
Thundercrestbooks.com.
Yes,
Okay.
that is my website. It is, we're getting there, my webmaster and I, but we're not there yet, but it's going. It's up and running. Also, I'm on Facebook as all this lowercase letters, J.S. Burl, and then capital A author. So they can find me in Facebook, J.S. Burl author. And on Facebook, I'm Janet parentheses Salvatore Burl.
Yeah, that threw me right off when I saw that.
Well, I have friends from high school and college that know me as Janet Salvatore.
Ah.
I know who I am. But remember, it's not Janet, it's Jan. J-A. Yeah.
Well, my mom's name is Janet. So I was wondering why Corey was messaging me with my mom. I was like, wait, no, that's a different last name.
Yeah.
That's funny. Not being able to breathe today. All of us seem to be doing that. So, oh, good. Lori's back. My apologies. We're going to add you to stage, Lori.
Yeah.
Computer crashed, did it?
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. It just all of a sudden, it just all shut down. So I'm live by my phone. So I guess I'm going to the computer fix-it shop after.
Oh. So, Jan, I want to end by asking you the card that had come up behind the scenes. So when we were backstage, we pulled a card. Remember the affirmation card?
Yes.
It says, list 3 ways in which today will be miraculous.
Every day is miraculous. That's something I actually have as part of my saying, make every day extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always miraculous when I can get together with you, Laura, because you're so fun.
Thanks.
And to meet you, Lori, that makes it a wonderful day because you become more friends instead of just a name, Lori.
Right? Yeah.
And it is a miraculous day because I woke up and I got up and I'm alive. Every day you're alive is a miracle.
Yeah.
Nice.
I haven't thought about that lately. And that's exactly where my head needs to go. Do you mind if we just kind of close our eyes for a moment and just lean into that thought of, you know what? I'm alive today. And I like that idea of, do you know a miracle when you see one? Like, I'm alive, and do I know a miracle when I see one? You're the miracle. Right?
We're all miracles, though, because we're all here. And we're all here for a reason. Sometimes we figure it out, sometimes we don't, but we're all here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly what it is until we meet with the great divine or whoever you feel is in charge of the universe. A God, he goes by so many different names. He, she, it.
Flying spaghetti monster. It's all good.
Okay.
So Jan.
I'm picturing this spaghetti-looking person, kind of like Cousin It. Remember?
I pictured too. Only more like cloud form.
Okay. Spaghetti cloud.
It's spaghetti cloud. It's fine. That's extra joke for the people who know what that is.
Yeah.
So Jan, if you weren't writing, what would you be doing to share this message?
Anyone who looked at me funny, I would say hello and talk to them and let them know that it was okay to ask questions. Little kids go by, Mommy, what's wrong with her? And I stop and I talk with them so that the child doesn't listen to mom saying, shh, don't say anything. But that's not a good way to get it out beyond my own area. I hadn't really thought that far, like I said, until Corey's boot camp. And from that point on, I started opening windows at first and now opening doors to creating a way to spread the message worldwide.
Mm.
Okay, so now I'm picturing you, Jan, at Carnegie Hall. Since we just mentioned that there's like the row of seating on the floor. I'm pretty sure this is Carnegie Hall. I'm not entirely sure. Then there's like the second tier of people. And you're on the stage and the lights are in your face and you have your book in your hand.
Books.
It's just one at a time. You've
Okay.
got the table beside you with more. And then you've got like all these little kids in the front with their parents with you. I can see on your face that just that image, you're leaning right into that.
Yeah.
I love that idea. And also, I see myself riding on Saren with Tippy beside me in the Macy's Day Parade.
Oh,
fun. Okay, so people who have connections to the Macy's Day Parade get in contact with Jan. Why the Macy's Day Parade? Is it because it's a big parade or?
I grew up with it.
Oh.
And Austin Macaulay is down in New York City.
Oh, is
They're
it?
a publisher.
No, I was going to say, is that where the Macy's Day Parade is? And then I realized, yes, that's Macy's Day Parade.
But they're a hybrid publisher. But I knew them from an office over in London. I remembered the name. They're in London, in New York City, and in the UA, Arab Emirates. So they're worldwide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you picturing like a real dragon or like one of those Chinese multiple people kind of dragons, which is so cool to watch.
No, I'm thinking of Rose real. She has legs and wings. So, yeah.
Okay, now we're picturing you in the Macy's Day Parade.
right. What a nice vision.
See this up close? There.
Oh, there you go. Somebody's happy.
She's a white dragon.
I'm a D&D player, so I just love dragons.
I always have to. And I can't write as wonderful as J.R.R. Tolkien or Anne McCaffrey or anybody like that. So I decided I'll do it with children's books.
Well, you know what? I met this very interesting person who now lives in Bali. And you know how people channel angels and, spirit guides? He channels your inner dragon.
Ooh. See, now you need to connect with him too.
Yeah. I was born in the dragon.
You what?
I was born in the year of the dragon.
Oh, cool.
I can't remember if I'm a dog or a rat. I want to say I'm a rat.
I actually had a dream where a white dragon came to me and took me flying. That's where the actual dragon this book came from.
Oh, well, maybe your inner dragons are there. Maybe there's more truth to this than we know.
Could be. That's true.
So
Wow.
then, with the last minute or so that we have left, was there anything that you just needed people to take away from this conversation today?
Don't give up if you're the patient. Don't give up, especially if you're a caregiver or a family member or a loved friend. Don't give up on them, because when you do, they give up on themselves.
Ooh.
And
That's a beautiful message. Yeah.
Yep. Anything is possible in this world if you believe and have faith.
You could have faith. So, Jen, I just want to thank you so much for joining us and for being here with us today and sharing your crocheted dragon. Look, I remember this time. I see that you have more friends on the back of your couch.
Oh yeah, and those ruffle scarves everybody's tired of? I did a face. I do a dragon and I put the ruffle scarf in it. So it becomes a ruffle scarf dragon.
I like it.
Yeah. So I do weird things like like that.
It's all good.
Yep.
I hope to see more books from you. I'm going to connect with you about the dragon boat races. I'll make that an action step so I see it.
And send me your address. Both of you. If you want a dragon scarf, I can make you guys one. One that goes around the neck, just like an infinity scarf.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't wear those. I don't really like things around my neck.
Yeah. Scarves for going outside.
I just have coats that come up.
Okay.
I would be honored.
Sorry?
How is your daughter?
Almost 14.
I bet you she would like one.
I bet you she doesn't even like to wear a coat. She's at that age. And I was like, a hoodie is not a coat.
True. Okay. Well, if you ever get the inkling, I'm here. I'm dragons.
I do know some people that might like it. Yes. Yes. So much appreciated. Will you scritch Tippy for me? Squitch him? Squitch her. Yes. Oh. Bye, Tippy.
Aw.
Oh, I saw the ears pop up. Thank you
Right?
for joining us.
You good girl.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Jen. We will have to chat again.
It's
And you'll
nice
have to tell us
meeting you.
about your next book that's coming out when it comes out.
Okay. Good. It's a date.
It's a date. Awesome.
It's a date.
Bye,
Bye,
Jen.
Jen. So I can breathe a little bit better, but I don't know. And then, so I'm not entirely sure where our next guest is. I'm going to double check my email.
Is that Tina?
Yes. Da, 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 all the inboxes. Nope. Okay. She'll be here when she's here. That's fine.
Okay.
Did you disappear on me, Lori?
Oh, did I again?
Well, your screen is black.
Okay. Hang on.
But this just means that you
Yeah.
and I have a chance to chat.
Technology today. I just, it was the weirdest thing. It just all of a sudden, the whole computer screen went black.
Yeah. I've had so many tech issues happen being on the show or being live. A couple times ago, I want to say in the spring, the power went out on a sunny day.
Right.
And then my phone was almost dead. And the plug-in thing for the car to actually have power, that didn't work because that's our backup when the power goes out.
Wow.
So then I had to grab my daughter's laptop, plug my phone into her laptop to get the charge out of the laptop onto my phone, and use the data on my phone for 3 hours to have a conversation. But then Heidi needed to be behind the scenes and actually host the show and have people come on and off because you can't do that from a phone.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh my God, the things that happened. Then that same show, somebody couldn't hear us. We couldn't hear people. And so we're in like the private chat, writing our questions for the person on the stage. And then thankfully they were a talker. So they filled in the time with answering our questions.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah. Some days, you know, it just, everything happens and it's all technology related, it seems.
Yep. But the lesson in that is that we work with what we have in the moment to do the best that we can for the intention that we're trying to embody.
Right. Yeah.
So we do have a little bit of time before she gets here. Hopefully she does.
Okay.
You never know. But we're just going to riff. You and I are going to chat. So Lori, I want you to tell me about you a little bit more. And I'm going to pick on you a little bit more.
Ooh, you're going to pick on me.
Lovingly, yes.
Well, what would you like to know exactly?
Ooh, what is the meaning of life in the universe?
Oh,
We're going deep, we're going all the way.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you should ask me that because yesterday I saw this word. It's Japanese, so I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but it's Yugen. And what it means is a
Yugen?
profound awareness of the universe that triggers feelings too deep and mysterious for words. And that just resonated and hit my soul. So, that's what the universe means to me. It's those moments when it's just like, oh, that's why. This is why, that sense of the beauty in being more than what we see it to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel as though our senses are very narrowly focused.
Right?
So then when we try to put all of these narrowly focused senses together, we still only have part of the picture.
Yeah.
And that's where those conversations about intuition and inner knowing and like all of these spiritual gifts add. That's why I always say 5 or more senses.
Yes.
They add even more to that perspective. And now we have a bigger picture, a more clear, but then there's still all of these different perspectives we don't know.
Oh, yeah. So true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my journey's been interesting. Like I spoke at Cambridge University.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
When was that?
It was wonderful. Just this past August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And why I found it so fitting for me is that I was there 45 years earlier, and I never thought that that's where my life was going, and how it culminated, and all of those experiences that I've had were leading me to that, oh, look, I'm back. So to me, it really was going to Cambridge was, I've come full circle.
Yeah. I think about being on those stages and how there's so much that leads up to being in that moment. So what was some of the lead up for you to even just get on that stage?
Oh, I've always known, it's like this inner knowing that I've had as a kid, that I love the stage and that I had a voice and I needed to speak, but I never knew what. And very involved in theater and drama, improv, directing. And I really loved being on that stage, but it was like, no, I want to take the characters away. I want to speak from here, but I didn't know what that looked like at the time. I just thought that I was fulfilling like the theater kind of dream, right? It's like, no, there's more. So, yeah.
When did you start in theater? Was it really young or?
Yeah, in junior high. And I think even probably in grade school, I was in some, the pageants and that. But then when I got into junior and senior high, I was in drama. And then I joined theater groups. I now have an agent, and I've been in some commercials, a music video, some print ads. And I started doing all of this in my late 50s. So now I'm in my 60s.
Yeah.
And, my message is just like, age doesn't define you.
No.
And how many people would think, oh, I can't be in a movie. I'm whatever age, right? I'm 60. I can't do that. It's like, I don't think of myself as a number.
Okay, but then also, how many times, no matter what age we are, do we think of ourselves as a teenager versus our age? So even when I was 25, I still thought of myself as 16.
Right?
Even when I was 35, I still thought of myself as 16. But then I remember I have a kid, so then it bumps it up to 19.
Okay.
I don't really feel much older than that.
Right.
I'm almost 40.
And I've never thought about it as numbers. I've just thought about it as who I was.
I like random Facebook user. Yeah, me too. And then every time I ask my parents, they say the same thing. Well, okay, there was joking. My daughter said to me the other day, she's like, yeah, so most of the time I feel, what age did she say? Well, I don't think she said a number. She's like, most of the time I feel like a teenager. And then sometimes I feel like a little kid. And I was like, hey, Sidoni, that's my daughter's name. I was like, sometimes I feel like a teenager. Then sometimes I feel like a little kid. And then there are other days where I'm really sore and I feel like I'm old.
Well, you could be an old teenager.
It's just like sometimes those physical ailments just take over and you feel like you're 95 instead of 25. Yeah.
Yeah. And yet it's funny, words and how we think and perceive things, right?
So then why would you settle on that kind of message where age isn't a number? Did you always feel that way, or was there something?
No, I think because, I had a really interesting family narrative. There was, addictions, there was abuse, there was poverty. And I think because I was the second youngest of 5 kids, I just really felt that I was just me alone so much. So I never thought of life as numbers. I just thought of it as me progressing and where do I want to go and what do I want to do. And so it's a really interesting question that you asked me. And so I've never really been attached to a number.
I like that. So coming back to the idea of you being on stage and not caring about the number, I'm thinking, okay, when was the first time I was on stage? I was 4 and I played the role of Loosey Goosey.
Okay.
Like, what was it? Chicken Little, I think it was called.
Oh, okay.
I remember like this huge foam head that was shaped like a goose. And we went to the local seniors home and just performed for them.
Oh, nice.
They didn't really care whether it was good or not. They were just very happy to be entertained.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess my first memories were like the school Christmas pageant, and I can't remember what it was about, but both times I was Mary.
You were married?
Yeah. When they were doing the, what is it? Mary and Jesus and the little baby in the crib. Forgive me, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you meant married as in like wedding ring kind of.
Oh, no, Mary, Mary.
No, it made me laugh because one of the other times, early high school, I was in a play where I had to play a man. Most of the people in the drama club were girls, were women.
Yeah.
They were like, well, if we're doing this play, we need somebody to play the man because they're like, the whole play is about marriage.
Uh-huh.
And it's written this way. We need somebody to play the role. So then I got to dress up as a military man.
Oh.
In a nice military suit, which we borrowed from somebody's friend.
Yeah.
And then I got to learn how to fake kiss another person. So of course it's high school. All the rumors go everywhere, but it was so much fun to learn those little things that you don't tend to learn in acting. You learn like the yes and with stand up, and you learn how to face the audience and how not to do this all the time because everybody's over here. But those other extras, even those scenes where you're fighting and you do the fake punching and stuff.
Yes, right.
It's fun.
I love watching movies being filmed when I'm an extra, and the things that you don't realize that are happening. Like I was an extra in the Brad Pitt movie Jesse James.
Oh, okay.
And so it was filmed at Fort Edmonton Park in Edmonton, and there was a train scene in it, but the train in the park never moved. But what they did to make it look like when you were actually at the theater watching it move was just incredible. It's like, wow.
Yeah. They used to do a lot of filming downtown Dartmouth. There were some buildings that were pretty plain, but still had that old kind of feel to them.
Okay.
So production companies would come all the time, and they would block off the road, and then they could insert their own signs onto these buildings. And it kind of had a bit of a Western feel to it. You know how they have like the fronts of the buildings that come out with slight architectural fling on the edges. Yeah, like that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool. Well,
yeah.
It's interesting. Jan, the last guest there, was saying how much she loves Scotland. That was Jan, right?
Yeah.
And I did one of those hop on, hop off bus tours in Glasgow. And I didn't know, but one of the most, I can't remember the name, but there was an American movie that it's recently out, and it was filmed all in Scotland. And so they took down the signs and put the American signs up. It's like, wow, there's a lot of money in that industry, right? To do that.
Yeah. So then all of this experience in acting and modeling and being in commercials and stuff, has it helped you to be on the stage doing an actual talk instead of just acting? Because they are different. Really, they are.
There's a lot that has, like, voice training, like where to stand, how to position yourself, how to draw the audience in. But a lot of how to draw the audience in came from my training in hypnotherapy and NLP. So, you know, there's certain ways that you can position yourself when you want them to hear more of the story. And then you step back a bit, you know, to take them into the past. So there's a lot of different techniques like that. So I think in those ways, theater has helped. Plus, I can draw on the passion that I had for that when I go on there. And so it's like I can step into an old experience that was really good for me and stand in that energy and present in a totally new day. Does that make sense?
Yes. I find that every role that I ever played was a piece of me. And so then that role would give me the space to just explore that. So I'm thinking about this one play that we did. It was a musical in high school, and I really wanted the cheerleader role because I'm a bubbly person. I was like, this is just going to be so much fun. I'm going to have a blast with it. So then I go and I try out for the part, and then we get callbacks, and I find that I don't get that part. I got the other part that I never even thought about because it was basically the slut of the play. I wasn't even close to that at all. And I was like, how am I supposed to play this character?
Right.
I don't feel sexy. I think I'm going to be dying alone at this part of my life. So I asked, I was like, well, you know, did I not do a great job? You get that feedback, right?
Yeah.
They're like, no, we actually cast you for that part because you're the only one that looks the part. I was like, what do you mean looks the part? They're like, you're the only one that has hips. This is high school. Like everybody's a twig. You look like a woman. I was like, oh.
See, now I feel better, I think.
But I still had reservations about playing something that I didn't feel connected to. So then they're like, well, this character also has the solo for a song. And we didn't trust the other person to do that. I was like, okay, fine. I'll do this. I started to lean into the character.
Yeah.
I have never felt sexier at that point in my life than I did. Doing that part. Because it wasn't about any sort of sex or anything like that. It was about the energy and the presence of this character. Yeah. Most of the time, she didn't do a whole lot, but she was front and center.
Right.
She was like, I am commanding this stage, and you're going to notice me.
Okay.
Okay. That I can lean into.
Right.
And it was very much stretching ourselves and exploring that part to say, what would it look like if I embodied that? Not what if I was the character. What would it look like if I embodied that feeling that the character's going through?
Yeah.
And the expression of that is the character.
Yeah.
Much easier. Do you have a favorite role that you have played over the years?
I was in a play called The Last Night of bLU.
Okay.
And I really liked that character in that play. Her name was Reba, and she was from the South, and she was just like, okay, sugar. And she was just so much fun. But the movie or the play also had it was leading back to the times during the war and Jewish families and things like that. So and bLU was a big fancy dance. So it was the last time that this, community of people could have this big fancy dance before the war came again.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun character to be.
And I like how Jan is watching now, and she's going where I was going to go with this. She's like, that is something that is a good match for a speaker. We are entertaining people as speakers. That's exactly it. It's like skills in not just performing arts, but everything else that we do in our lives is preparing us for everything else that we do in our lives. So then think about some of the things that you love to do that isn't necessarily speaking, writing, podcasting, sharing a message, business, any of that. What are some of those lessons that you can use somewhere else?
Right.
That's the game of life.
I think that's one of the reasons why I love improv so much, is because life is improv. And that really helps me feel comfortable on the stage. It's like, if you can be a character and just make it up, and it's like, oh, well, what if something goes wrong today? This is what I'll do with it, right?
I find improv is really helpful when it comes to coaching one-on-one with people.
Yes.
The whole idea, we mentioned this earlier, of yes and. When you're saying no to a coaching client, what's happening is you're trying to stop their version of reality. You don't get to choose their version of reality. So if you come with the idea of this yes and, you're like, yes, I understand this is your version of reality, and we can see it this way, and we can do this, and we can learn that, and anything else that we think of in the moment.
Very true. I think that's why my business name is The Echo of Yes.
Oh, I love that. The echo of yes. Oh, okay, I'm thinking.
Because I want people in their life, it's like when you skip a rock in the water, right?
Yeah.
And it just ripples. I want them to be able to say yes, yes, instead of, well, maybe, should I? And I just want it to be that smooth, just say yes and see who you are when you show up, see how you show up, right?
So what else has happened in your life, or what other kind of hobbies and interests do you have that you think adds to you being a speaker, a writer, and a podcaster? Are you all three of those? Have you done all three?
I am, yes.
Okay, I thought so.
Well, the podcasting is just starting. I've been a guest a lot, but I am right in the stages of getting a podcast going. It's going to be called Welcome to the Jeep Seats. And it's going to be stories of motivation for when you commute.
Oh.
Because I own a Jeep and I absolutely love it. And the personality and the persona, I believe, that, the Jeep manufacturing have tried to embody. It's like, yes.
Okay, I thought at first that you said welcome to the cheap seats.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't know where this is going, but okay.
Exactly, and that's the play on words that I want, right?
Oh, you did want
Jeep
that.
Seats, yeah. Right, because then people
section.
Lean in and they go, "What? What do you mean?"
No, I get the idea of the Jeep, the community. I noticed the same thing even with motorcycles. My dad always loved a motorcycle.
Okay.
Of course, I was the cool kid in grade 2 because we moved halfway through the school year. My dad would pick me up at school on his motorcycle.
Oh, that would be very cool. Yes.
But that community does the same thing as many communities. You see somebody else on a motorcycle, you wave.
Right?
You say
Yeah.
hi, like you're part together.
Well, I grew up on a farm and my brothers were all into motocross. So they had the dirt bikes.
Yes.
And so, yes, I did learn how to drive motorbikes.
So then here's the fun question. How did learning to drive a motorbike help you become a better speaker?
Oh, I'd have to really think on that. I guess, putting yourself out there in a field where maybe at one point you didn't feel you were dominating in, because,
Ooh.
I'm just trying to think and answer that question, because when I grew up in the 60s, you didn't hear about women riding motorbikes.
Oh.
Right. And so I think maybe for me, how that helped me is just to like own who I was and own my power. And even if there was a part of me, as you're growing and evolving and thinking like, oh, well, what am I doing on a stage? Right. It's like, what am I doing riding a motorbike? I'm having the time of my life.
Let's touch on that for a moment. I'm going to change your words just ever so slightly and say this. Who am I to be on a stage?
Right.
Oh, have you had moments like that?
There must have been a few in order for my subconscious to bring it up right now. I'm very much into the subconscious and intuition. So
yeah. I'm trying to think. I was just, for some reason, there was a connection of mine that I met back in 2016 that just happened to read my message that I sent him back in 2016.
Oh,
yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. So he sends me a message. He's like, sorry, I just got to this now. Blah, 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 blah. So then I had this conversation with him talking about this first event. We're talking about speaking.
Right.
So I'm at this event and it was life-changing for me. So he said to me, how is it life-changing for you? Like this one little event that we went to, how is it life-changing? He's like, I didn't really do anything since then. It's like, it was life-changing because I was one of those people sitting in the audience, not expecting anything. And then it was a class that I loved and I was hoping to learn more. It was Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Only Stephen Shedletsky was the one sharing it.
Okay.
So I get in there, I'm in the audience, and he's asking everybody, okay, hey, I'm losing my voice. Who here has heard of Start With Why? Like half the people in there. Great.
Right.
Who here knows it well? There's like 5 of us left. He's like, okay, fine. Who here knows it well enough to teach it? It was just my hand up. So then he's like, there you go. You get to teach my class, and I'm going to try to drink some water and get my voice back. So then no prep, no knowledge. You're just kind of thrown into these situations. I taught in Toronto. I'm a small town girl, Nova Scotia. Okay.
Okay.
Went to this event in Toronto, flew there. And then he asked me to speak for him.
Wow.
Wow. So that was like mind blowing. That was the first time I ever did a professional talk.
Oh.
Okay. So then that question that was in my mind when I arrived there, who am I to share my message? Who am I to actually tell the truth of what's going on? Nobody actually wants the truth. It's too hard. I was dealing with depression and mental health issues.
Right.
I didn't know how to share that. But that event taught me so much about needing to be authentic. Everybody doesn't have to know all my details. But if it's helpful, if it's valuable, then yes, put that in. And to not question myself, but to just go and do it. Don't think about it. Just do it because it matters to you. Do it because you love it. Do it because you want to help people so much that you can't not do it.
And it's the expression of ourselves, like when Jan was talking about writing her books and her children's books. I took a course about, it was kind of about marketing and being able to find a niche kind of. And I remember the words of one of the people there saying that whatever it is that we're creating in our life, or a program or a book, it's not so much about what we want to put out there to the world, but it's more about giving back to those little pieces of ourselves that were unmet. And that really stuck with me, because the name of the program that I'd come up with during that course was to work with at-risk youth. And I called it the Black Sheep Academy, to help children be seen, heard, and understood.
Yes.
Right. And so I think about that in my own life, how, I was taking care of others. I felt very alone in that world of everybody else's addictions and trauma. And I was really in the middle looking at all of that. Right. And I wanted to be able to tell a story. And so I think in creating that program, it was more about my own healing too.
I think that's the same thing every time I get on a stage, or every time I do an interview, or every time I'm writing something, is going back to that playing a role. Like, this is a piece of me.
Yeah.
I am hoping to have a space to explore a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you need to get back to it, to own it, and to be in front of that story, then somebody else needs that too.
Yeah. Ooh, so you were in the first, where'd you go? There you are. You were in the first Blue Dogs book.
Yes.
I was. Where am I?
Oh, okay.
There I am. There I am. What did you write about in this book?
Oh gosh. I think I wrote about a particular piece of my life, growing up in rural Alberta, and how you needed to redefine yourself based on particular ways you perceive things, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to find your chapter.
Yeah.
It's like there's lots of faces I know in here, and it's absolutely beautiful. I haven't read every single one yet.
While you're looking, my very first, I guess, if you call it, professional speaking engagement was at Deanne Riandu's event. And she had put on Your Holistic Earth. And it was a feel-good fest. And I was speaking there. And the other person who was speaking there at the same time was Rosalind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, didn't know who she was. And then, then when, life kept going and I found Blue Talks, and there's Rosalind again. Right?
So I found your chapter.
Oh, okay.
Here's to your empowered success.
Yes. And yes, now I remember. Thank you. I started with a poem that I had written.
Do you mind if I read the poem?
Sure, you can read it.
Okay. It says, darkness falls and boredom prevails. The cat howls and the baby wails. The days are like a merry-go-round, minus the merry, but with lots of sound. The breadwinner smiles and goes out the door. The wife sighs and goes back to her chores. He says he will be back after work with a grin. She only nods, fully aware of his whims. His day is work, people and time to drink. Her day is radio, TV, and time to think.
Yes.
So then, what is that poem about? Why is it?
That poem is about alcoholism. And when we grow up in a particular environment, we become comfortable with the energies that are there. And so even though we might be trying to run from it, we attract into our lives the same type of energetic people. And so I attracted into my life. My husband at the time was an alcoholic. And so that's where that poem came from. And it was at a time in my life where I think, well, you get to go out and do all of these things. And again, I had no voice, right? I was home. I was just like, okay, well, I get to think, I got the radio, I got this and that. And then I had kids, right? And so I used that because that was also the kind of like the chapter of my story, growing up in that type of an environment.
Yep. Oh. And I love that you did it through poetry. So we talk many times about what are the ways that you want to share your message. Poetry is one of those means.
Yes, I have a book of poems that I actually want to publish and put out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when did you start writing poems?
Oh, I started when I was a teenager, I think. Because, you know, like you say, it's self-expression. And I found that I had the music for words.
Okay.
And so that was I guess that was my voice, because I always wanted to be a singer. If there is one thing, you know, if you could wave a magic wand, it's like, I want to be a singer. It's like, I sing excellently in the key of off. That's it. That's my key, and I own it, right? And it's like, okay, nope, didn't get that gift. I'd like to see sometime. I'd like to take a music coaching course sometimes and see, you know, do I have any song in there? But I really think that poetry was my way to be able to sing.
I like Jen's comment here. Hold on. Me too. Just go for it, Lori. So we do have a couple people who have been on the Blue Talks Amplify Your Message show who can help you with your singing voice.
Oh, well, I must look them up, because I've always wondered, like, could I sing something? You know, that's kind of like one of those little goals. It's like, I just want to, even if it's happy birthday in key, I just want to be able to sing something in a key other than off.
Okay, so here's the thing, and we're tying it back into speaking and writing and podcasting. It's a skill.
Yeah.
Like everything else, it's a skill. So then you can use your skills that you learned on the stage and acting and stuff to get a little bit of melody. Like you understand that a good speaker needs melody in their voice. They need tone, they need pitch, they need, you know, all these other things that make a speech feel natural and inspiring. You can take those skills and pull that into your singing voice.
Yes.
The only difference is now you're wanting to hit specific keys. So really the only difference is now you're taking all those skills and you're going, okay, how can I train my mind and body to recognize my throat doing what it should, being able to hear what I need to hear? Because if they're doing a note on the keyboard or something, you have to be able to hear that, recognize what it is, and do the matching physical to match that.
Yeah.
Not really a whole lot more to it, but it does take practice. That's all.
Well, I will have to try that. You know, I love singing around the house, and my son used to say to me, "Who sings that song?" And I would go, "Oh, I don't, Neil Diamond or whatever." And he'd go, "Let's keep it that way."
No. Okay, think back to riding a bike too. Imagine your son saying that to you when you were riding a bike. Or you saying that to your son while you're teaching him to ride a bike. Oh, you didn't get it the first time. Might as well just leave it for the professionals.
Yeah.
No.
Right? Well, I knew he was coming from a kind place because he has a really dry kind of sense of humor.
Oh, I was telling that joke earlier this week.
Yeah.
My daughter, I love the sarcastic humor.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. I was going through old photos and I saw this picture of my daughter dressed up as Ronda Rousey. And I was like, oh, do you remember when you dressed up as Ronda Rousey? Like, not even a moment, no time to think, just snapped back at me. Do you remember when you killed that plant? I was like, oh my God. Instead of being mad that she said that to me, I was so proud because I'm like, that type of humor requires
Right.
intelligence.
Yes,
And that means I'm doing something right.
that's right. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I'm doing something right. Hold on just a second. This is the day of not being able to breathe. It's all good.
Oh,
I'm just going to double check the time. We've got about 5 more minutes.
okay.
So I want to make sure that we're learning a bit more about you too, Lori.
Okay.
Not just your interests and stuff. What is it that you talk about in your business? Like, what is your core message of your business?
How to shift from poverty consciousness to wealth consciousness.
Okay, we all need that. How do we do that?
Well, we have
3
to,
seconds. No, just joking.
right? Yeah, because my heading on my website is I'm a hostage negotiator of the mindset.
Ooh. Ooh.
So I help you negotiate your no's and turn them into yeses. So how do we do that? How do we negotiate with our mind? It's like, okay, so where's my thinking in poverty? Right? Where am I thinking like, oh, I can't do this? And you know how earlier we were talking about like age and numbers, right? That's poverty consciousness. So owning the things and attaching too much numerical, emphasis to it. Why can't an experience just be an experience?
Yep.
Right? And so really looking at what you're saying and how you're saying it, and recognizing that poverty can be the way that we're thinking, but it can also be the way that we're perceiving.
Mm-hmm.
Like we go into environments and we go, well, that's just the janitor. That's poverty thinking too.
Oh, no. No.
Right?
There's no just
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the janitor.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so where are we at in our level of poverty consciousness?
So what would be something to help us become more aware that we have a poverty consciousness or a poverty mindset?
Well, just like what you said, how many times do we intercede the word just? I'm just a mom. I'm just this. I'm just that.
Yep.
So really being aware of the internal dialogue that we're telling ourselves and then reframing it. Yeah, I love the work by Byron Katie. Who are you without your story? Are you familiar with Byron Katie?
No.
Oh,
Who are you without your story? Okay.
Yeah, it's a great. She's got lots of books. They're great books, and it really is. Can you talk about yourself without saying I?
Yep. I'm looking that up right now.
You should, yes, get a copy. You'll be inspired, I'm sure.
Oh, probably. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, and especially in the Blue Talks community, they want to share their story. And then with the work that I do, I was like, but it's not about your story. Your story is a method of transportation of knowledge.
Right.
That's what your story is.
Yeah. Byron is Byron. If you can't find it, it's spelled differently.
I found it.
Okay.
It's like, I'll deal with that later. But
yeah.
Oh, I love that. I like Jan's comment too. I love how engaged Jan is, both here and there. Poverty is something I've lived most of my life. It is just what was, and it's time to change that. I love that. I remember something happening a couple months ago. I was living with a friend because I've moved 4 times in 5 months.
Oh.
Thankfully, I'm done moving. But when I was living with a friend, there's these small moments that popped up. And one of them was the roommate put a knife with peanut butter on it in the dishwasher.
Uh-huh.
And then the other roommate was like, why did you do that? Like, there's peanut butter on the knife. You got to lick it off first. You don't put the knife in there when there's peanut butter on it. And that was just a little bit of insight to tell us, to show us that this particular person did not grow up poor. Whereas the rest of us, we're freaking out because the rest of us grew up without a lot of things. You licked that knife off every single time. It never went in with peanut butter on it.
Right? Yeah.
Right?
When we grow up in an environment of poverty, it teaches us to live small, and we forget that we have that voice. And so poverty consciousness is not only representational about how you lived, but what was the story that you developed from that. That's why I talk about, there's different ways to look at it.
So Lori, if you're up for it, I would love for you to introduce our next guest and ask the first question. I just got to take a minute.
Sure.
Are you up for it?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so Abby, I'm going to bring you up to stage. Can you hear us and see us? Just give me a thumbs up. Awesome. I'm going to bring you to stage. Welcome, Abby. I'll be back in just a minute, and Lori's going to not introduce you, but she's going to say hello and ask you some questions. I'll just be right back.
All right.
Hello, Abby. It's great to meet you here.
It's nice meeting you, Lori.
Good. Yeah. So we were talking a lot about inspiration and who are you without your story.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you with your story, and who are you without it?
Wow.
That's my question. Wow, I'm really starting the heavy hitters right at the beginning.
It's going right at it. Who am I without my story? Without my story, I think I belong to my parents. Without my story, I am a girl, a daughter, without my story, because I think my story, I mean, it's not necessarily true that it's that, but that's what I would go with, because my parents brought me into this world. So my story started getting created as soon as I was brought into this world, when I was born. So who am I without my story? That's a very difficult question that I've never really thought about. That's why I would relate to my childhood and say, without my story, I was a little girl, daddy's little girl.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And with your story, has a part of who you were without really allowed you to evolve and to grow?
Yes, I would say that. And also being daddy's little girl, he also carved my story, because my dad always wanted to be a lawyer, and I think he kind of put that in my mind, because I did go to law school, not practicing as a lawyer, but uh, so he kind of as well shaped my story by planting those seeds of like fulfilling some of his life. Like he wanted to go to law school, he didn't, but I did. So
Wow.
Mhm.
That tells so much about who you are right now.
Right now, I am multifaceted. I I'm a mom, a woman who wears different hats. I'm an entrepreneur, philanthropist, wife, a friend, sister, um, just different facets. Like I wear different hats, and sometimes I'm more than one thing to more than one people. So, and a chief encouraging officer, I prefer that to chief executive officer, because I'm here to encourage everyone and not tell them necessarily what to do, but encourage them in their journey and to achieve whatever they want to.
I love that so much. We've talked a few times on the show about the difference in sales between that icky feeling of sales where you're trying to persuade people, and then coming from that empowering type of energy. It completely changes how people interact with you. So how does calling yourself the chief empowerment officer, how does that help change the relationships of those that you work with?
Because I'm here to work alongside them, not hover over them or be this pointy finger or force over them. So I'm here to work alongside them. I'm here to encourage them and come along them in their journey, in whatever roles they play. Because I work in a staffing industry, so I work with recruiters, sourcers, and also trying to help them as they're dealing with people and trying to tell them about the openings they have, and that sales thing you just spoke about comes into play, because sometimes they're like, but I don't want to sell them. I'm like, you're not selling them, you're offering them an opportunity to expand either their job titles, or to move in a place that's comfortable, a job that provides what they need. Some people it's money, some people it's benefits. So it's trying to figure out what they want and helping them get to that place in their life. So you're not selling them stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, one of my mentors always told me, yeah, Lori will be right back. She's like, I have to do something. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, one of my mentors told me that, now I lost it.
Train of thought.
Stuff happens. We get it. I learned lots of stuff from my mentors. One of them was get it done and ship it, which was life-changing for me. I'm one of those people where I'm like, it needs to be perfect. No, that's not helpful to anyone. Now I remember what I was going to say. The sharing piece. He also taught me that selling isn't selling in the way that I wanted to think about it. Selling is sharing, just as you said, sharing an opportunity, sharing a product, sharing a story, sharing whatever that happens to be.
Yeah.
But it's from the energy of love. I'm sharing this with you because I see something in you that'll help you get to the version of you that you want to be. But you might not see that. And so it's now my job to be like, oh, this thing that I have, I'm sharing it with you because that's something that you don't see right now.
Yeah, you're not trying to shove it down their throat. It's like, no.
Yeah, my husband has a saying about that, but it's not appropriate for the show. Basically, it's along the lines of like religion and how, you're allowed to have one, just don't try to shove yours down my throat. That's, but
Yeah,
it was a little more.
You say that, and I remember I was having a conversation with my sister yesterday, and it was about private school versus public school, and where everyone falls in their choices. And she was sharing that one of her friends was like, one of his kids is in public school, but that's because he got kicked out of the private school, I guess, for whatever problems he was having. And then the other one is in private school, private Christian school. And he was like, yeah, but I have a problem with them indoctrinating her, And she was like, but you chose that private school for a reason. Like, you actually had a choice in this. And I was like, especially private schools, be they religious or not religious, they tell you this is what we believe. So you're either for it or against it. So I was like, yeah, he kind of knew what he was getting himself into. And I was like, and you should just tell him, but it's his role as a parent to nurture his child in whatever way he sees fit. I mean, as they grow up, they might change, they may follow the path, but it's up to him. So, and I was like, it's not up to the school. That's where she or he goes to get academics. But the foundation the child should be getting from home, regardless of what avenue you choose for your kids for school. And she was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to tell him that. So I was like, there's a reason he chose this school. Maybe it was convenience, it was close by, or he believed some of the things they were putting out there is what they believe in. So, yeah.
So how does that idea of choice help you do better in the work that you do with staffing?
I mean, choice helps me do better in the work of staffing and everywhere in life, because I believe as human beings, we have a choice. So in staffing, because you get different, because I do staffing for government facilities. So we're sending people sometimes to prison facilities to provide healthcare staffing. And so some people, I mean, it's a choice that I tell everyone it's a choice whether you want to be in that environment. It's a prison facility or a hospital in a county area or a hospital in a prison. So you have a choice. It's not, and we give them the pros, the cons, and they get to make a choice. So in life, everything is a choice. My son yesterday just said, "Oh, I don't want to hang out with this boy because he makes me uh, get in trouble. I was like, no, 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 no. No one can make you get in trouble. You get a choice in your own life who you choose as a friend, who you choose to hang out with, and no one can ever make you uh, do something or make you get in trouble. You get a choice. And he's 9, and I'm like, no, you get a choice right
Ah,
now.
yeah. 9 is definitely a fun age. There's so much changing at that point where they understand enough about some things and not enough about others, and they're just trying to find the middle ground.
Yeah, and friends are important to him right now.
Yes. Yes. Gaming? Is he a gamer?
Oh yeah, Roblox, Robux,
Yes, I remember Roblox and Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Yep. Does he do Fortnite yet?
Yes. I'm not a gamer. I'm not into games. PlayStation, all that. My husband is, at least
Yeah.
PlayStation, not the other ones. And so I have my nephew who like will log in and kind of. I'm like, you gotta keep tabs on them because I don't know what's happening in those games.
Yeah, my daughter got me into all of them, so we
So
play together now.
see, better you than me.
We've been gamers ever since the beginning, so she's been on the computer since she was born,
Oh, okay.
just like mashing keys.
How old is she now?
She's gonna be 14 in March.
Yeah,
So again, another age where it's kind of like she knows enough
she
of
knows a
things.
lot. She knows more than you think.
Yeah. I was talking about her earlier this week. It just like we learn so much from our kids
Hmm.
that helps us in everything that we do. It's like they're 8-year-olds with all their wisdom shoved into this young little thing. I told a funny story a couple times. When she was 3 or 4 or something like that, she was in the bathroom and all of a sudden I heard her crying. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So I run down the hall and she's looking in the mirror and she's going, I'm just so pretty.
I love it. I love it.
And I'm like, why can't we know these things as adults? They just happen to say randomly in their conversation.
I think as adults, we just let go of a lot of things and we let society dictate or
We
others
do.
dictate how we see ourselves or how we view ourselves rather than um, holding on to who we are. Truly, we're beautiful, we're awesome human beings. And you just believe that. I mean, growing up, I used to tell everyone, oh, I'm a millionaire in training, millionaire in training. And I'd go about saying that. And whenever guests would come to our house as young kids, I'd tell everyone my name is. I'd say my full names. My name is Abigail Lillian Yamuita Mamboleo, lawyer.
Oh wow.
And my brother would be like, yeah, Camila, whatever, engineer. And then he would clarify, not just engineer, engineer for vehicles. and
Oh, okay.
and he's not an engineer now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not a practicing lawyer, but I do have the knowledge to be a lawyer if I wanted to.
Yep.
And so I tell my kids, now I'm asking them, yeah, what would you like to be? And they're like, a billionaire. Mhm. And then nowadays it's trillionaire. And
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, you can do that. And then sometimes they're like, oh, I want to play football. And I'm like, football, soccer, or football, American football?
Yeah.
And they're like, both. Hmm? And
Both.
they love soccer. Their dad plays soccer, so they play soccer. And then um, American football, I don't understand the game. Been to so many of them, I still
Yeah.
don't get it.
Yeah.
But and then my cousin plays it, and the injuries scare me. So I always tell them, how about you just work to own an American football team?
Oh, that's a lot. No injuries involved. I like that.
It's like no injuries, and you still get to be part of the game.
So I'm going to ask you just a little bit more about, you said I'm eating my hair. You
See,
said
I
you
don't
were
have that
training
problem.
with, I know, I was admiring the color of your hair and your earrings. I love that they're picks.
Oh yeah, to
Look
comb
like
my
picks.
fro.
Exactly. I was like, that's identity right there. I love that.
That's always what's going to be different about me. My shoes, my earrings, and I change my hair color quite a bit.
I prefer, my hair just doesn't hold the color, but I love the colors. Boo words.
All
So
right,
you
you're going
said
to
you
ask
had a
something.
background.
Hmm.
Yeah, you said you had a background being a lawyer. How does that training help you do better, not just with staffing, but I'm going to guess that you're into speaking, podcasting, writing, something like that to share your message out there.
I've been doing a bit of writing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've written a few chapters in different books. I have co-written a book for Where to Find Funding with one of my friends, uh,
Oh,
that we wrote before COVID. We've been talking about updating it because, well, like everything is outdated after COVID, so we need to update it uh, with newer things. And I wrote one last year, well, beginning of this year. Took it out, wrote it last year, and it's for being a successful working mother and juggling all the hats that we wear.
I
And
saw that. Yes.
so that's one thing. And then the other thing, as far that's what I've done as far as having I love to read, so having the background. And I must preface it to say that my grandfather, my dad's dad, is an author
Is
of
it?
yeah, but mostly religious books in Kenya because he's a minister, so mostly religious books on prayer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But maybe that's where I got it from. I never thought about that until the other day when I was talking about putting his books on available in Amazon because they've just been on traditional bookstores. And that's that. And then also I've tried to give people my knowledge as far as I did teach intro to law at a community college a few years back. BC, I say BC before children, because
I love that. You're not the first one, but every time somebody says it, it's just so good.
yeah, I'm like BC before children when life was completely different.
So much easier.
Uh, well, depends.
Okay, true, true.
Some days it's not easy, but
No.
yeah, yeah. But that's what I've done as far as. But podcasting, no. I feel like that might be in my future. Who knows? It's like
Mm.
already. I feel like I have too many jobs right now. I need to fine tune my activities.
Did you
to
always think that you would be an author?
No, and actually, the very first book that came out, my friend was sitting having coffee, chit chatting, and she goes like, "We should write a book." And I was like, "Yeah, we should." And then we left it alone. And then she's like, "No, Abby, I'm serious. We should write a book." And I was like, "Okay, cool." She was like, she was like, "Let's just write a guide for people where they can find funding for their businesses because we've had a few businesses and struggled to find funding." I was like, "Yeah, let's do that." So one day she called me. She's like, "I find someone who can help us put it out there." And I was like, "Okay." So we just started writing. We just like hear the outline and we started working on it, and that was it. And then after that, I was like talking about motherhood, juggling, and the whole mompreneur thing that happens, and we're like, and I was like, yeah, I want to talk about how it's because working moms are hard on themselves because they're like, I don't get time for my kids, or I don't have time to give my kids a wholesome meal. I'm like, yeah, McDonald's can be wholesome some days. I was like, look at it this way: they're eating, they're happy.
They're not dying.
They're not dying. You've managed to keep these humans alive. It's a win. So sometimes I'll call my friend. I'm like, oh, today I'm winning. I got them in school on time. They had breakfast. It's like I'm winning, pat on the back, like I'm doing awesome. And so sometimes you just have to give yourself the praise, and because women are a lot hard on themselves. And so one time I was getting an award, and I told my friend when they call me up there, I'm gonna go there and thank myself. And she was like, "Yeah, you should do it." And she thought I was kidding. And when they called me, and I was like, "I'd like to thank God, and I'd like to thank me for waking up in the morning. I'd like to thank me."
Yes.
Everyone just looked at me, and finally they were like, I was like, we
Oh,
don't
I would be there cheering you on really loud.
we don't thank ourselves. We always thank everyone but ourselves, and it's not easy.
No. Was there anything that scared you when you first started writing?
No, not when I first started writing. I do because it gives you time to recoup and step back. You can fix that. I think speaking is a lot more scary than writing.
Okay.
because you're not sure how your message will be received. When you're writing, someone picked up your book, then there's some interest in it. But when you're speaking, there's really you don't know, especially if you're just there with a topic that you came up with yourself, or you have no idea whether the audience wants to listen to you or not. I think that's a lot more scary.
I'm going to ask if you just adjust your mic just a little. When you moved your headset, now it's cutting in and out. Because
Better?
sometimes, yes, there we go. It's like we want people to hear you. You said speaking is a little bit scary.
Mm-hmm.
Elaborate a bit more on what specifically it is for you.
Well, my parents, my father's a minister, my grandfather's a minister, and my parents are missionaries as well. So being MKPK, missionary kid, pastor's kid, and when our parents would go to different places, they would always be asked to introduce their family and whatever. And my parents would always just be like, "Oh, they're grown enough; they can introduce themselves."
Mhm.
And so, and being the oldest, I'd be the one who'd always do our introduction and everything. So I'd get a little bit nervous and then, do it. It's easy. I'm talking about myself, and then I found it easier to just we didn't say our names and whatever, and would sing. So singing was always easier. so,
I want
so
to
like
stop just for a second. You said it was easier because you were
sing,
introducing yourself,
yes. Hmm.
talking about your. Have you ever tried to write a bio? Like, is it really easier to talk about ourselves?
To talk about yourself is easy. To write about yourself is not easy.
Okay, there we go. Some clarity on that.
Because some talk about yourself, it's simple. Especially introducing yourself, it's like they'll some give you a guideline, give us your name, where you're from, and that's it. And as kids, it was more like my dad's the main character,
Mm.
or my mom's the main person on stage, or both of them sometimes. So for us, we're just the backups. So the backups, we just say our names and usually would sing because my other siblings did not like being in the spotlight. But I was that kid that was always in the spotlight and thrived in the
Yeah.
spotlight. I don't know how I didn't end up in acting. Maybe I'm not dramatic enough. But yeah, so speaking about yourself was not, but the fear is, I mean, in school, whenever I had to do presentations, I had no problem with it. I knew what I had to talk about. But when I'm not prepared, that's scary to me. But funny enough, when I'm not prepared, that's when people get more out of me. And that's when they're like, yeah, that was great. And I'm thinking, I didn't prepare. But then when I prepare too much, then I get too nervous and then I forget everything that I prepared. And I say it's a nightmare.
Well, then let's play there for a little bit. One
Okay.
of my favorite opening questions is to ask people something that they cannot prepare for. And so it's really fun to hear their answers. So here's the question.
Okay.
If you could have other people describe you as 3 words, so you're wanting them to describe you the way that you want to be seen. So what 3 words might those be?
The
What
way
might those
I
3 words be?
the way I want to be seen.
The way that you want them to describe you. Yeah.
Oh,
That
the
came
way
out as a mumbled mess, but it's all good.
well, I would hope that sounds courageous.
Ooh,
Uh,
I like that one.
um, courageous go-getter,
Hmm.
fun.
I can't tell you how much courageous and fun has come up this week. Usually it's creative and authentic
Mm-hmm.
that come up a lot.
A lot. Uh-huh. I
Yeah.
could see
So
that.
why do
'Cause
you want to be seen as courageous as a go getter and fun?
sometimes we take ourselves too seriously,
Mm.
and it's okay to have fun. So let's have some fun. So that's why. And courageous because I'll sometimes shy away from things I should probably go for. So that courageous and go-getter is more along the same lines. And I think that's why, because we're tougher or harder on ourselves, or we hesitate about making decisions about things we think would serve us better. And so
Mhm.
that's why I'd like to be. Because there are things I'm like, and then I don't. And I'm like, I should have done it. So courageous would be nice. Mhm.
I
I
like what you just said there because I know, Laura, when we had Jan on, you were talking about unconditional love. And I was going to say, how do you unconditionally love yourself?
Yep.
It's a process. It's a day by day thing. Um, Recently, I think it's my brother who sent me a clip, and I've been doing it with my boys as well, whereby we look ourselves in the mirror and we talk to ourselves in the mirror and we're like, I love you. I love you at least 10 times. And the first time we're cracking up, but now that we do it every morning. We've been doing it for the last 3 weeks now. We look at ourselves dead in the mirror and we're like, I love you. I love, because it's self love is that's where it starts, not getting a facial, whatever. That's
Yeah.
self upkeep care.
Self-maintenance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like I'm
But
still running.
it's loving yourself. And if you tell yourself that several times, then then you start loving yourself unconditionally.
Mm.
So how does that unconditional self-love tie into the courage of becoming, I don't, you said CEO, so chief
Encouraging
empower,
officer.
empowerment. I can't talk today either. Officer. This is my job.
Go ahead, sorry. Mhm.
How does the courage and unconditional love play into you deciding to become the chief empowering officer? Here we go. We'll get it out.
Um, I mean, self-love is something that, I mean, the unconditional love of self is something that, like I said, we started doing it 3 weeks, like a clip my brother sent me. And I was like, this is a good idea because we are so much hard on ourselves. Like I'll have a day that's hard at work and rather than talk about it as the day that it was difficult and this is what happens, I'll talk about it like I failed. Like, like internalize it like, oh, I should have done this. Or if only I had gone about it this way and stuff like that. And so by it's a process that I've started like with that I love you, and knowing that and forgiving myself as well, that I love myself, I did the best I can, and I can forgive myself. So what? The day didn't go well. The day is over. That happened. We move on. And practicing it myself, it has not been easy, but it's a work in progress. So nowadays, whenever even the last I went to a conference, and when I came back, people were like, "Yeah, how are you doing?" And I was like, "Getting better and better."
Yep.
Getting better and better. So every day is a process, getting better and better.
So then how do you help your clients get better and better?
I am not dealing with the clients as much as I used to anymore
Mhm.
because the company I used to own, we sold it. So now my role is more about the team in here and helping the company get new contracts by doing bids. So I'm doing it in writing. So I'm no longer on client relationships because now we have a business developer who's doing that, business
Mhm.
development manager, and that's more. It's the beauty of having being bigger now. I don't have to do everything.
So then what about the people who read your book? Do they ever become clients, or are you just aiming to help people and leave them at that point?
That's like part of my next chapter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my next chapter is building that side of helping people through my book. And I'm in the process of writing one for kids to believe in themselves, 8 and
Ah,
under. And once I get the illustrations out the way, I'll get that out. And then I'm going to do one for the older kids, like chapter book type, self-help chapter book for older kids.
oh, nice.
I'm toying around with different ways to do that for older kids. For the kids, it's just believe in yourself. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But the older kids are along those same lines, but bearing in mind that peer pressure is huge at,
Oh,
at the teen area and also now social media. Um, is a huge influencer. So trying to figure out what would speak to teenagers in that way. So that's my next chapter as far as helping others.
No, I love that next chapter. That's something that I think many of us can get behind.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those parents where I've always had conversations with my daughter about the self-help, self-development. But I was thinking over the last couple of years, I want to start getting her those books.
Mm-hmm.
But many of the books that are on the shelves are just too advanced for her,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's in language or concept, right? So
Yeah.
then having a book that's geared specifically toward teens or those
Mm-hmm.
older kids, so very helpful. So you will have to let us know when that comes out.
I will sometime next year.
Sometime next year, I know.
Let me just say, maybe around Mother's Day. Let me give
Oh,
myself a deadline. That way I
Hey,
work better with deadlines.
that's a nice deadline to have for a kid's book.
Yeah, around Mother's Day.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're also helping moms, right? With
It'll be their
their,
Mother's Day gift to themselves, to their kids. Read this book. It's all I want for Mother's Day. You read this book.
you're like, buy both of them. It's a 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I like all of that. So why did you want to go in this new direction? What inspired you to make that change?
After we sold the business about 2.5 years ago
Mhm,
and signed consulting agreement with them for 2 years
mhm,
to stay on board and help transitioning. And then April of this year, I came on board now as part of their team and no longer consultant. But at during the consulting time, I was like, okay, I need to figure out my next chapter
yeah.
and plan my next chapter and what I want to get into. And my book came out January of this year, so I was like, I think I want to go along those lines, create the media aspect of my life, publishing,
Mhm.
and hopefully bringing in um, programming from Kenya to streaming platforms like Netflix, because there's a lot of programming from West
Nice.
Africa and South Africa, but I haven't seen much. There's a few from Kenya, but I haven't seen much from my country. I'm
Yeah.
originally from Kenya. So yeah, so that's how that came about. Sitting and thinking about that, and also along the same lines of been creating a training program.
Mhm.
Uh, starting with training program for recruiters, so in the same space, so that they can go. I don't have to physically train. They'll have a course outline they can use, and that would free up me now to pursue my next chapter,
I love that.
which is still training, but now a different kind of training.
Exactly. Well, Lori and I were just having a conversation right before you joined us where we were talking about the many different things in our lives that help give us the skills to make the things that we want to do, like speaking, writing, and podcasting,
Hmm.
better. It's like you never know where those skills are going to come from, but they always seem to help in some way.
Hmm.
Right.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. So then,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to ask, Abby, will your children's book also be written in Swahili?
No, it's written in English. Swahili is not an easy language
No,
to
it's not.
to read, because Kenya is part of the Commonwealth, who's a British
Mm-hmm.
colony. So English is the language of instruction. So every kid that goes to school starts learning in English. So you
Mm.
do have some kids who don't even really know Swahili. Swahili becomes a subject just like Spanish is a subject in
Oh,
schools.
okay.
Yeah. So unless your family speaks Swahili is the national language in Kenya, but unless your family actually speaks Swahili, then you'll find some kids nowadays that really don't know Swahili.
And
Oh,
there's a lot of different dialects of Swahili too. Is that correct?
Uh,
Different.
Kenya, Swahili is the national language. Tanzania speak a more pure Swahili
Mm.
uh, than Kenya. And then you have people from West Africa, like maybe Cameroon or whatever, and they speak Swahili, but it has because it's a Cameroon more like a French-speaking countries. Their Swahili has a weird accent.
Ah.
But then in Kenya we do have Swahili, and then we have Swahili slang. So which
Yes.
the younger people came up with so that our folks don't know what we're talking about when we wanted to
I love it.
when we wanted to have our own conversations.
Which is perfect for your book idea for youth,
Hmm.
right? Because they
Come up with your
certainly
own
do
slang.
speak their own language.
Yeah, I mean they do it with English now too. Mm. And
Oh,
so
yes.
I'll talk to my cousins and they'll be like, "Yeah, that's cab." I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, I'm like, "We're speaking English, right?" No clue what they just said.
No.
Hmm.
There are websites like urbandictionary.com where if
Hmm.
there's a word that you don't know and it's slang, you will
You
find
can
it over
find it.
there. And you'll
No,
get all the definitions.
my friend had a T-shirt. It said, "I went from mom to like bra." And I was like, yeah, and I was like, I think sometimes my kids will be like, "Bruh, bruh," and I'm like, "Sis." I'm like, "I'm not bra."
Not even close.
Oh, they'll be
So,
like,
Abby,
"Yeah."
I want to know where your aspirations are going. So, if you could have your dream, like something crazy cool to happen for you in the next year, I've been describing it like genie snaps a finger, okay? It doesn't have to be logical. What would be crazy cool to happen in the next year for you?
Oh, get my billions.
I'm listening. Yeah.
I'm a billionaire in training now.
Yeah.
I'm a billionaire in training now. So if the billions could come, that would be really cool.
So what would you do with the billions?
I would be financially free to explore everything and anything. Uh, without having to think about any financial aspect
Hmm.
or pacing myself because of financial aspects. So it would be like, the world would truly be my oyster. So I could,
So what would you explore first?
I would build a school in my village in Kenya.
Aw, yeah.
I would, that's one thing that's in my list. I would write more books, a lot more, because I wouldn't have to worry about putting them out and everything like that. I would move. mm, Um,
To
I love California.
That's been coming up a lot
I,
today.
I I love California. I live in California, so I would stay, but I would move to uh just a different neighborhood
Mhm.
than where I am. I love it right now. It's just not very neighborhoody, kind of like
Oh, okay,
my
yeah.
kids get to play by themselves. It's not very community like. So I'd like, because growing up, we lived in a neighborhood where we could go out and play and everything. My kids, they have to play, it's in their backyard. They don't have like neighborhood friends. They have friends from school, friends from church, friends from the
Yeah.
club. So I'd like them to have friends from the neighborhood. Like you just walk out and it's like a nice neighborhood. So I would like a neighborhood like that. Um, ours is, and I think in our neighborhood, it's probably maybe two houses that have kids.
Aw.
Most of the people have been there for years, and the kids are all grown and
Yeah.
in their 40s and moved out. So I would like to move somewhere where my kids can have other kids and stuff like that. But I'll definitely stay in California. Love the weather.
Yeah.
Uh, buy properties in the coastal by the beach so that we can go to the beach every now and then. My kids can explore their surfing. So yeah, I'll do stuff like that. And then I would grow my ministry, my mission, African Aid, which is helping different African countries get clean water,
Mm. Yeah.
and like I said, build a school, which is part of the program, education, stuff like that, and provide financing for widows and widowers to take care of their families. So I would get to do everything I do right now in a much larger scale.
Nice. Well, if you need help designing that school in Kenya, I have
Hmm.
lots of connections.
Perfect.
I'm
See,
from the architectural background, so it's all good. And
see,
I'm not sure if they already did a school in Kenya, but they have done different types of schools in Africa,
hmm
especially resourcing local materials and trying to make
hmm
it energy efficient as possible.
see, connections.
Oh yeah.
I
That's
love
why
it.
I'm all about crazy cool dreams, because sometimes all you need to make them happen is to know people to help you make them happen.
Truth.
So,
Yeah.
I have to connect you with a platform too. It's called Role Model Maker. And it is initiated by Dr. Ali Lancarini. And one of his missions is to put money back into third world countries.
So row as in ROW?
ROLE,
Oh, role.
Model Maker.
Oh, okay, role. Okay, got it.
So maybe later Laura can send me your email and I can email you that information.
All right.
I don't have contact information for anybody.
Oh, okay.
It's like Corey just sends me a picture of his calendar, and then sometimes he'll put me in a Facebook group with that person with a link. And
Well, where can we find you, Abby?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
MamboleoMedia.com. My email is aby@mamboleomedia.com.
There you go. Are you on social media at all?
Yes, I do have Instagram, Facebook, all that, but I'm not that active.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, but I finally had to give up Mamboleo Media Instagram to someone to actually manage that, and I maybe I should hand over my personal one too because they're doing great.
I love it.
They're doing great. Maybe I should just have my niece. I should be like, yeah, I'll give you a stipend every month, and you can take videos of me and pictures and post it.
Yeah. I do that with my daughter. When in April we had to move, and we moved 4 times in 5 months. And so I never knew where we were going to be or where she was going to be. So I'm like, you need a phone. But I'm not just paying for your phone. You have to work in my business for me on the tasks that take me forever, which would take you 15 minutes. And looking for images is one of those things. I could spend 3 to 5 hours looking for one image. And I'm like, your job is to go to these websites that I wrote them down for, find the images that I need, and just put them in a folder for me. And then I don't have to go look and waste all my time.
It probably took her a lot less time.
It's so much easier now. So much easier. And I'm just getting started back in my business this past weekend, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. What were you doing before that?
Moving 4 times. Trying to buy a house, trying to make sure like everything and everybody else around me was doing what they needed, had what they needed. Basically just keeping all of our sanities together since my surgery in March. Like it's just been constant. So now that we're in our new house, then I have an office now instead of just a chair in my bedroom. Yeah. Now it's like ramp up time. Having lots of fun with cool people this week.
Get back in there.
Get back in there. Yeah, exactly. So with the couple minutes that we have left, Abby, I want to make sure that you're sharing with us the things that you wanted to share with us. So was there anything on your mind that you wanted to make sure that you said today?
No, now I was like, let's wing it and see how we gel, which was fantastic.
I'm already loving your shirt. I was like, I was going to wear my black shirt that's like that one, and then I didn't.
Oh, I like my sparkle.
Me too.
It brings joy in my life and others.
One of my sayings is speak from your sparkle. So of course I love the sparkle.
I love that. I'm going to use that. Speak from your sparkle.
Yeah. Well, one of the main problems that I see with speakers when they share their story is that they're still speaking from that place of pain. And so then the audience feels as though they need to support the speaker. But the speaker is there to share information and stuff with the audience. So why is that relationship flipped? Because they're not speaking from their sparkle. I want them to courageously, wait, there it is.
You survived. So now you're victorious.
Exactly. It's all good.
You're
so Abby, it has been so much fun. Is there anything, okay, now that you're like branching into all of this cool new stuff in your life, is there a message that you're trying to share with people through that?
Just be kind to yourselves. It starts with you. That's overall what people should. If you start with you and be kind to yourself, then everything else will just follow. Mm-hmm.
I liked your little gesture earlier of giving yourself a pat on the back. Maybe we'll end with that. Laura, you get to do this too.
Yes.
Everybody watching, we're just going to give ourselves a pat on the back or a big hug that we were taught earlier this week.
Right.
I'll give it 5 gold stars,
Now we need stickers.
Yeah, well, yeah.
or a marker. Let's just draw them on our forehead.
You're winning. You're doing great.
I will email you, Abby, and apologies for my glitches here in this interview and to our listeners.
No problem.
No,
I don't think they'll mind it. It was flowing.
This has been an absolute delight. And as Corey says, I would love to call this a to be continued.
All right. Let's put a pin on it.
Put a pin on it. A sparkle.
Put a pin on it.
Be a sparkle pin.
All right. Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you guys.
Absolutely loved it. Thank you so much, Abby.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, Abby.
Okay, so as we end here, I just want to kind of recap just a little bit. So, Lori, was there something that stood out to you today that you wanted to share with us?
I just was really hearing the message about inner child and having fun, and a lot about, I think, when we really own our power, it's really about stepping into that inner child and allowing them to do and say and express who they didn't get a chance to be. And that's kind of the message that I'm hearing today.
I'm liking the idea that many of us are trying to figure out how to wear this. It's not necessarily that we're starting new or that it's a new beginning, but as somebody mentioned earlier, I can't remember who it was. It was Shelley, to living our second act. It's like a whole new act or a whole new chapter.
Yes.
So it's like we're not forgetting about the story beforehand and everything that we've done. We've decided that was a milestone moment.
Yeah.
We're putting a sparkle pin in it. We're turning the page, and then we're choosing to write our story from here on out.
And we're sparkling as we do it.
We got my sparkle gel pen and sparkle notebook. It's all good. And writing with that energy of unconditional love and that inner 6-year-old.
Yes.
So much
yes. Fun. Amazing guests. Lots of inspiration, as always, within this community, whether we know them or they're new to us. Mm-hmm. I love how that energy follows energy.
Exactly. So stick with me after we end the stream here. But usually when I click the end stream button, there's a couple seconds wait time. So I just sing and dance as we go.
Okay.
So for everyone who is watching, this was day 4 of bLU Talks Amplify Your Message. We will be back tomorrow, which is Friday. I remembered, for day 5 of bLU Talks Amplify Your Message. We start at 10 a.m. Eastern and go until 1 p.m. Eastern, which for me in Atlantic, that's 11 to 2 for all of them. Because I'm like, people watch me, but then I have to say a different time zone and they get all confused. So I say both. We will see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time. Love you as always. Can't wait to see you here. Bye.
Bye.
Ended.